Oui, on vous entend, nous. Okay. Je commence et après ça. Okay. So I start. So hello, good afternoon, and a very warm welcome to Brest, and this, the grand final of the Ocean Hackathon 2023. I would just like to congratulate all our teams here today for making it here to the final in Brest, and wish them the very best of British luck, as I say, because I'm British. So it now gives me the greatest pleasure to hand you over to Monsieur Michel Gauthier, who will open the competition. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Mon anglais s'arrêtera là. Donc, bonjour à toutes et à tous. Hein. Donc, mesdames, mesdemoiselles, messieurs, je suis... mon nom apparaît là sur l'écran, donc je suis extrêmement heureux de vous accueillir ici, à Brest, pour notre Ocean Hackathon. Et nous sommes ici dans un lieu qui a été transformé, qui a été transfiguré, mais dans un lieu chargé d'histoire, puisque c'est ici, au tournant du 19e siècle, que la marine nationale, que la marine française a créé ces ateliers pour accompagner, pour favoriser, permettre la motorisation des navires de la marine nationale, et donc d'effectuer ce passage de la navigation à voile à la navigation motorisée. C'est pour ça que ces ateliers ont été faits, avaient perdu leur utilité et ont été transférés de l'État français par notre gouvernement à la ville de Brest. Et la ville de Brest a à son tour transformé ces lieux. C'est d'ailleurs à côté, vous avez peut-être travaillé dans ces endroits. J'ai cru voir certaines des équipes sur les tables de réunion dans la salle. C'est la plus grande place publique couverte d'Europe aujourd'hui. Et c'est un lieu qui développe à la fois des activités culturelles, des activités commerciales, mais aussi des activités d'expérience scientifique ou de connaissance des océans. Je crois que beaucoup d'entre vous ont pu connaître cet équipement qui est ici, ce que nous appelons le 70.8, hein, qui est notre espace de vulgarisation des sciences et techniques, des techniques de la mer. À côté, vous avez par exemple un téléphérique, hein, puisque pour franchir le fleuve qui est en bas, donc la ville de Brest avait pris l'option de créer un téléphérique qui est le premier téléphérique urbain de France. Mais aussi dans ce lieu, il y a et participe au progrès, au développement de notre économie, un certain nombre de parties prenantes, comme une équipe d'ailleurs du Technopôle brest-iroise qui anime ici la French Tech Brest Plus, puisque la France compte 13 capitales French Tech et Brest, avec ses partenaires, en fait partie, et ça démontre, je crois, la force de notre écosystème numérique. Je veux aussi dire, bien sûr, que je suis ravi de vous accueillir ici, puisque vous venez parfois de loin. Bien sûr de France, bien sûr de pays d'Europe, hein, mais je crois dans la salle, hein, nous avons des amis qui viennent de Kuala Lumpur, mais aussi de près de San Francisco-Sausalito, si je prononce bien. Et donc, j'espère vraiment que votre séjour à Brest, Brest qui est la capitale française des sciences et technologies marines, qu'il se passe au mieux et que ce sera aussi l'occasion pour vous de rencontrer un certain nombre de nos acteurs maritimes. Et puis, je ne veux bien sûr pas oublier de saluer les participants qui sont à distance. Je crois qu'il y a 3 équipes qui sont ainsi en ligne. Alors peut-être vous dire que notre territoire de la pointe bretonne, hein, de cette extrémité occidentale de la France, c'est plus de 42 000 emplois maritimes au sein de 2700 établissement. J'espère qu'il y a une assez bonne coordination, oui, je vois, avec ce que je dis et ce que vous pouvez voir. Elle est parfaite, d'ailleurs, hein, félicitations. Donc, c'est aussi 1000 publications scientifiques par an en moyenne, hein, sur cette place que nous dénommons le campus mondial de la mer. Hein. C'est ainsi que nous portons ce projet de mise en évidence nationale et internationale de nos atouts. Mais c'est aussi plus de 8500 personnes qui suivent un cursus de formation lié à la mer. Une autre de nos particularités, hein, qui constitue un de nos gros atouts pour aujourd'hui et pour demain, ici, nous retrouvons les principaux sièges d'établissements français, d'établissements nationaux français en lien avec le maritime. Je voudrais citer l'Ifremer, je voudrais citer le CHOM, le service hydrographique et océanographique de la marine, et de saluer son directeur général qui est présent, merci. De citer le pôle mer, le pôle de compétitivité mer Bretagne-Atlantique, mais aussi l'Institut de transition énergétique France Énergie Marine, ou encore France Cyber Maritime. Et donc, ils ont tous, bien sûr, une dimension internationale affirmée, et se retrouvent aussi au sein du campus mondial de la mer que je citais tout à l'heure. Et parmi les actions que ce campus mondial de la mer mène, il y a bien sûr ce qui nous réunit aujourd'hui, l'Ocean Hackathon, que nous organisons depuis 2016. Et on peut mesurer le chemin parcouru pour retrouver aujourd'hui à Brest, ou en ligne pour certains, pour nous retrouver ici à l'occasion de cette grande finale de l'édition 2022. Alors, pourquoi avoir imaginé Ocean Hackathon ? Tout simplement parce que de nombreux acteurs ici, et pour un certain nombre d'entre eux, ou un grand nombre d'entre eux que je viens de citer, collectent de la donnée et souhaitent que cette donnée soit utilisée plus largement. Aussi, parce que Brest regroupe de nombreuses compétences en numérique et particulièrement en traitement de la donnée. Enfin, parce que nous voyons Ocean Hackathon comme un lieu formidable pour imaginer de nouveaux produits, de nouveaux services, produits et services innovants en lien avec la mer et dans le but, bien entendu aussi, de la protéger, avec bien entendu aussi l'idée d'accompagner ces belles idées, et c'est bien là le rôle d'un technopole, de notre technopole. Je veux maintenant peut-être aborder les remerciements, hein, que je souhaite faire, parce que si l'Ocean Hackathon est porté par le campus mondial de la mer, il ne s'organise évidemment pas tout seul. Et donc, je veux remercier les référents des villes qui ont permis d'organiser des éditions locales de Ocean Hackathon un peu partout sur la planète, on le voit, l'ensemble de nos partenaires fournissant de la donnée, élément indispensable pour répondre aux défis proposés. Remercier aussi les ambassadeurs de cette édition 2022 qui nous permettent notamment de faire rayonner Ocean Hackathon en France et à l'international, et qui mettent aussi parfois de la donnée à disposition et dont la contribution financière permet également de récompenser les équipes. Je voudrais remercier aussi les porteurs de défis, bien sûr, et les équipiers qui ont travaillé sans relâche, bravo à vous, du 2 au 4 décembre dernier. Et je veux aussi remercier l'équipe du campus mondial de la mer qui porte Ocean Hackathon à l'international, et le Technopole, qui a organisé l'édition brestoise cette année à l'école d'ingénieurs ISEN, et que je remercie. Voilà, donc en conclusion, je souhaite à l'ensemble des 12 équipes de beaux pitchs. Il est toujours difficile de restituer en quelques minutes un projet sur lequel on a travaillé pendant de nombreuses heures. Mais ça, c'est ce qu'on appelle l'art de la synthèse. Mais je suis certain que vous allez tous très bien vous en sortir. Donc merci de votre attention et très bon après-midi. Merci à vous.
Thank you very much, sir. So, without further ado, I would like to introduce our jury members, who you can see, these ladies and gentlemen, sitting down here at the front. Most of you are probably aware that each city represented has provided us with a jury member. As I say, some of them sitting here, and others who are online. And a very special thanks to those for whom it is the middle of the night, because I believe it is for some of our jury members. Our ambassadors have also provided us with jury members, as you can see here. So, moving on, now for the most important information for the afternoon. How will each pitch be scored? This is very important stuff. So, first of all, each pitch will be 8 minutes, slightly longer than last year for those of you who were here last year, okay? And we will allow an extra 1 minute for questions. So the time limit for each pitch, 8 minutes, okay, no more. In terms of the scoring methodology, each team will be awarded up to 4 points for the clarity of their pitch, so how clear their information is, okay? Up to an additional 4 points will be awarded for the quality of the demonstration and the data used in the pitch. Up to an additional 4 more points will be used or will be awarded apropos the identification of the problem to be solved, and more widely, their presentation of their business model. Very important. Up to 4 points will also be awarded for dynamism and originality. And if last year's anything to go by, I think we'll certainly see some original pitches today. You will also be awarded up to 2 points for respect of time. As I say, that one is very, very important, okay? And finally, it is important that you involve the whole team in your pitch. Even if you do not have members of your team present here today, it's important that you introduce them to us, okay? Because I know that not all teams are present here today. So that is how each pitch will be marked, okay? Very important, with a time limit of just 8 minutes, okay? So, without further ado, let the games begin, as we say in English. Okay, I would like to invite our first team, which I think is probably online, which is Noumea, to begin their pitch. Thank you very much. Enjoy.
Oui. Hello, everyone. I'm delighted to open this pitch session. Sorry, just 1 moment. Did you know that more than 50,000 shipwrecks dating from the Second World War litter the bottom of the ocean? Did you also know that I always contain between 2 and 20 million tons of hydrocarbon? 20 million tons is like going around the planet 3 times in barrel of oil. It is also the equivalent of the huge black tide that will cover 78% of the world coastline, or 3 times over European coastline. Shipwrecks are ecological time bombs, a worrying source of ocean pollution. Approximately 2,000 at-risk wrecks are identified in the Pacific and 1,600 in the North Atlantic alone. The World War II was responsible for the largest loss of vessels ever recorded. Cast back over 80 years ago, their steels have been corroding about 1 millimeter per decade. They have entered their critical moment. It's no longer a matter of if, but when. Were already leaky wrecks, like, for example, 3 months ago in the Solomon Islands. A handful of experts predict a peak of massive spills around 2030. If nothing is done, these wrecks could lead to 50 years of repeated oil spill. I did a thesis at HEC Paris on this subject, gathering scientific facts and completing an economic analysis. Proactive cleanup strategies will cost nearly 1.6 times less than responding urgently to oil spill at sea. Worldwide, a proactive cleanup will cost 109 billion euros. It's colossal, but cheaper than reacting. Worldwide, that's about 65 billion euro avoided. Each situation is unique. The cost of remediation can vary significantly. The preventive depollution of a medium-sized wreck with traditional means, it's around 18 and 2.7 million euros. The idea is not to clean up all these wrecks, but prioritize those most at risk regarding environmental and socio-economic criteria. Our market studies have shown a lack of actors involved and the lack of resources directed toward to the environment in general. There is a global neglect in the face of a problem. Cleanup skills and techniques do currently exist, but need only to be improved, mobilized, connected, and financed. To warn about these threatening wrecks ready to burst, the first step of the project called Thanks for Her is the creation of a didactic mapping. For Ocean Hackathon 7, our challenge was to collect and compile geospatial data from potentially polluting wrecks. We worked with an American expert to obtain identity cards by wreck, like type, names, tonnages, and depths. He has done a colossal job on more than 15,000 wrecks of the Second World War, thanks to data from NOAA, FAO, archive, and scientific papers. With my team, we processed the data with an ArcGIS library, created tables integrating the global layers of biodiversity, as you see here in Malaysia, to incorporate an ecosystem awareness grid with mangroves, seagrass beds, and reefs. We assess pollution hazard by combining the risk posed by a particular wreck with the ecological sensitivity of its sinking area. At the same time, we have developed this web interface, still imperfect but useful, showing the historical detail of these wrecks, real archive photos, estimation of the cost necessary for their depollution, reading filters such as depth, the risk, EEZs, and biodiversity. Finally, we refine our algorithm model simulating the trajectory of leaks from each wreck. We are focused on showing you the result on some coastal area of interest. Some of these areas should be familiar to you. With the help of SPC modeler, we use monthly surface currents from the Mercator Siemens model for the years of 2022. At the position of each wreck, we release one particle and follow it for 1 year with the ocean parcels model. The result makes it possible to assess this cost effect by a plume of potentially pollution from a wreck. Of course, our methodology is bound to be improved. This is just the beginning, and now our awareness. Not having used regional data or simulation as limitations, the particles are passive, they undergo only surface currents, and on a large scale, no tide or drift related to waves. A single particle that is released by wrecks have no addition of random walk, therefore no stochastic process, and no notion of the behavior of the pollutant. Our ambition, that is MAP, is a real decision-making tool and allows awareness. It is a basis for representing risk and considering adequate financing. Our value proposition addresses various stakeholders. The strong financial implication of our problem require activating and associating various channels. Our economic models is based on a hybrid mechanism outlined in my thesis. An endowment fund, the philanthropic vehicle, leads the actions for the ocean, and company with a mission which develops the interactive map. Technology is the lever to finance the mission and have impact. The two structures have the same values, the same raison d'être, the same objective. The We Art the Planet program is going to integrate contemporary arts. It's a lever for media coverage, co-creation of social values and impact. Artists willing to commit themselves through their works, physical or digital, for the protection of the oceans are associated with depollution projects. Without renouncing growth and performance, TFH combines various players to capture the most resources. Thanks for Her is an ocean philanthropic startup, an SSC startup where financial benefits are not the heart of the activity, but where impact is measured through socio-environmental solidarity benefits. We do not seek to blame states, but to participate in the solution. For the moment, pioneer in the subject without known equivalent players, Thanks for Her can strategically bring together and federate an entire ecosystem. We also work on our forecast and financial needs until the proof of concept, the depollution of the first wave. If you wish, I could come back to this point during the question. In conclusion, by linking responsibility and ecological and social profitability, Thanks for Her wants to be singular and open to all stakeholders. Although recent, this awareness of the essential role of our ocean are very encouraging. Okay. Action, more reaction. Thanks to my team and thanks to all involved or wishing to get involved. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. We now have time for just 2 questions from the jury, either the jury here or the jury online. Anyone?
Hello, can you hear me, Rafael?
Yes, I hear you.
Hello, thank you for the presentation. You talked a little bit about it, but could you maybe elaborate on how you envision that the data that you provide in Thanks for Her leads to action?
Yes, of course. For the first step, it was to collect the data from just from the wrecks. We work with an American expert. He works with ArcGIS, and he have a global geospatial data from the wrecks. And we collect these wrecks, and with my team in Noumea, with an oceanographer, hydrograph, and developer, we put all these wrecks on the map, and we cross with biodiversity and ecological sensitivity to establish a risk from each wreck.
Okay, thanks very much. Just before we proceed to one more question, could I invite the team from Kuala Lumpur to start preparing for their pitch, please? Okay, so any more questions? No? No? Okay, thank you very much, Noumea. Thank you.
Thank you.
And next up, we have Kuala Lumpur, who are just preparing. Welcome.
Right, thank you, Rob. Thank you. Bonjour, juries, ladies and gentlemen. This is Team Jali Go, and we are from Malaysia, and I would really love to show you a little bit of Malaysia. Yeah, located near the equator, Malaysia is blessed with tropical climate. It means diverse rainforests, beautiful coral reef, stunning tropical beaches. So zooming into Malaysia, we have this island called Penang Island, if you know about it, Penang. It's a popular beach destination. Anyway, due to the warm and nutrient-rich water around Penang Island, one marine organism thrives here. Guess what? Jellyfish. Yeah. A quick question here, all of you. Has anyone ever get stung by jellyfish? Whoa, I mean, more than I expected. It's a bad experience, isn't it? Yeah. For those who don't know, jellyfish sting is painful. It's caused by the venom from the tentacles of jellyfish piercing into your skin when in contact. And that's why, on the pictures, it's labeled as majestic ouch noodles. It's ouch. Yeah, I have tried it. Trust me and trust them. You don't want to try it. Yeah. In fact, you don't really want to try it because jellyfish incident can cause reaction from mild to severe and even to death causing, causing the loss of innocent life. And unfortunately, in Malaysia, the incidents happen quite frequently, and we have yet to have a solution to it. Hence, our team, we came up with the idea to create a jellyfish prediction model. And we integrate it into a user-friendly app, and so that you could avoid the jellyfish. Now, before I show you the application, let's have a look at how we do it. Yeah. Okay. So we have 2 years worth of research data, consisting of in situ water parameters and jellyfish abundance value. These data were collected from 10 sampling sites around Penang Island, covering popular beach destinations. Then, our team ran a series of prototyping on R using this data, and we were able to predict jellyfish abundance value. And the result is positive, considering that the predicted value, if you will, look in the graph, the predicted value in red has similar trend as the actual jellyfish abundance value, and we compared it. So with this, we translate the model and also the data into the app, the JellyGo. So we have 3 main features for the app, and of course, let's start with predictions. Right, assuming that we are all planning a beach vacation to Malaysia, inviting all of you. Could anyone suggest a time of the year? February, March? Anyone? July, right. Let's do July. Let's see. Oh, apparently our model predicted that the jellyfish abundance is relatively high during July. But you know what? Guess what? Let's try September. Yeah? Let's try September. September, yeah? Okay. Apparently September is safe to swim. According to our model, our metric system recommends that it's safe to swim. So I guess I'll see you all in Malaysia in September. Yeah. Now, before I move on to the second features, my team made a short video to demonstrate it for you to better visualize it. And it's a short video. I hope you enjoyed it. That's me.
Three, two, one, jump!
Very painful. That's right. A built-in SOS system integrated into our app. Just one click away for you to get the quickest, the fastest medical attention. And it works as a two-way communication. As you can see, we integrate this GPS system where the medical team know exactly where you are, and you know exactly where they are when they are arriving. So while waiting for the medical team, you can provide additional infos. They are on their way. You use our app, you scan the sting marks. The jellyfish leaves the marks on your hand when they sting you. So that the info will share directly to the medical team. While they are on the way, they have all this info, and they can prepare the best medical treatment for you when they arrive. Yep. So let's come to the third feature, the fun one, citizen science. So if you ever spotted a jellyfish while you stroll the beach or you do snorkeling, could you help us take a photo and upload to our database? We have a platform for it. And of course, with your GPS switch on so that we can know precisely where you spotted the jellyfish and the time of it. Yeah? Meanwhile, our team proposed a science program, I would say, to invite the public, all of you, to hop onto our boat and join us on the sampling trip with a little fee incur. Yeah? With the fee we have that we collected, and we can organize more and more sampling trips, and with this, we get more data. The public gets hands-on experience on, learning marine research and marine life. I think I would say it's a win-win situation. Yeah. So we are serious about sunsetting the app. With the current support from the state government, Penang state government, as well as with the collaboration with private sectors, important. The hotels, the resorts by the beach, as well as the medical team, we plan to roll out our app as soon as it's ready to them. Yeah, with the help of them, we can encourage more people to download it so that everyone has it on their phone and we can get the best out of it. Well, in the meantime, we are in close communication with the research team at our universities. I'm a marine biologist myself, and I talk to a lot of people with it, and we have different teams backing us so that we could acquire the most up-to-date and the most accurate jellyfish information with us on hand all the time. So your safety is our top concerns, and that's why beach vacation, Jelly go! That would be our presentation. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you very much indeed, Jelly Go. Does anybody have any questions? As ever, we have time for 2 questions from the jury.
Thanks for your speech. You explained us that you have a model, you have built a model to anticipate jelly proliferation. Have you planned to refresh or actualize this model, and how?
Well, it's we have one of the members who is on the research project, and I would like him to answer it.
Yeah, good afternoon. Thank you for the question. Yes, we are doing right now. We are collecting data twice a month to improve our data model all the time. Thank you so much for your question.
Are there any more questions, please? Just while we're waiting, if Toulon, if you can start thinking about getting ready for yours. Any more questions, please?
Yes, hello. Did you hear me? Do you hear me? Okay. Hi, everyone. My question is also about your abundance model. Did you use any meteorological data, or just the historical abundance data of jellyfish?
I guess it has to be seen again.
As we saw in the simulation, you can predict how many jellyfish in the sea, whether if we are in winter or in the summer. So, did you include the data of the meteorological data on your model?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you for your question. Yes, we use the real sampling data. So it's almost like 3 years from now we collected the data, and we're still going on to do the sampling like twice a month to collect all the data. So normally the abundant index or unit that we use is individual per meter cube. But for the public, too easy to understand, we'll translate it to number of jellyfish in one Olympic-sized swimming pool as our unit. Thank you so much.
Okay. I have just another question, if it's possible, regarding the business model. I don't quite understand how, if you have any projection in 3 years or 2 years, could you please tell us how you can make your application viable?
Yeah, thank you for your question. We have the prototype right now. So we are going to propose our state government and the hotel associations, try to let them to do the investment so that we can start the apps and let them try, and we will expand our model to other states or to other area. Any add-on from?
Yeah, for example.
So it's just public fund.
Government institution, but if it's okay, for example, the Penang governments organize triathlon all the time, and jellyfish things will definitely affect the event. So they would definitely want to invest in our app to reduce the losses of events like this, and I guess that's why we propose to them
Yeah, so they agreed.
Yeah, this guy has been in contact with the governance.
Okay. We will have to wrap
Thank you.
up fairly soon.
Thank you.
Okay, so Jelly Go, Kuala Lumpur, thank you very much indeed. Excellent.
Thank you.
Next, I would like to welcome our team from Toulon in the south of France. Thank you.
Bonjour.
Yeah.
Hello? Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our pitch. We are citizens. We are divers and biologists with a huge problem. This problem being this guy. The lionfish has a huge economic and ecological impact in areas introduced where it's not supposed to be. And unfortunately, it's not coming alone. There are a bunch of different invasive species terrorizing the oceans. But these fish are not only an issue for divers, but also for the local and endemic ecosystem, such as these endangered species. They are a threat to fill their ecological niche, and that's why we need to help them. Hi, my name is Kilian. I am a marine biologist, and I dedicated my life to protect the ocean and its inhabitants. As you can see in this graph, the invasion has already begun. And the lionfish moves even further towards west, conquering the whole Mediterranean Sea. We need to know exactly where the fish is to act accordingly. On the other hand, we are divers, and divers are pretty cool. We enjoy just being in the water and see the marine organism, but we will have some issues that we will talk about now.
As designers, we observe trends that are great opportunities. The 2020 decades is the decade of artificial intelligence, which brings new tech capabilities. As divers, we are more than 6 million worldwide. It's a great asset for citizen science, which is becoming more and more famous within the scientific community. So, what if we gather in an open database thousands of hours of observation from oceans all over the world, all year long? We interviewed more than 20 professionals, diving instructors, scientific, local authorities, and it will be a huge asset for the community. So here is our challenge. How can we engage recreational divers to collect useful data for scientists? Introducing Citizens, the social dialogue with a purpose.
Hello everyone, my name is Roger and I'm currently on vacation in Guadeloupe where I really enjoy diving. So after each dive, I gather around with all my friends and I like to fill up my logbook to talk about the species that I've seen. Now, before I had a paper one, which got wet, or I got lost, or I forgot it. It was not very practical, so now I use the Citizens app. So, how does it work? After my dive, I go on the app, and I select which dive I made. So today it was scuba diving. And then I select the spot I've been in. So today it was Pont de Calonge. And as the application is geolocated, I can sometimes be proposed, oh no, sorry, I have dive parameters first, but then as the app is geolocated, sometimes there is a survey that I have to fill. Do you remember the lionfish? So today I saw 3, and the local scientists are interested in following the spread of these species. So I filled that up, and then I have also seen non-invasive fish species that I would like to know the name of. But there are a lot in Guadeloupe, there are more than 340. So either I can use the filters used by the app, or, as I like to do now, I can use the ChatGPT feature. I press the button. Which fish in Guadeloupe is blue and has yellow parts? And that's the French angelfish. So I get very interesting infos about it. And yeah, I can then have the full report of my dive. And I earned a new badge, apparently, because I discovered new species. And I filled up a survey set up by scientists. So I really enjoy using this app because it's practical. I can save all my dives in it. I can prepare the next one. I can also connect with other divers and share with them my discoveries and my observations. And I can contribute to preserving the ocean's life, which is beautiful and I'm passionate about, so that's a plus. But there's more. If you are like me and you record your dive or you take pictures of the fishes during your dive, you can upload them on the app, and there is an artificial intelligence image recognition program which will instantly recognize the fish species. That's extremely practical.
Our service is based on a freemium model, meaning that the application is free for everyone to ensure large adoption and data collection, and we offer premium features for users. We also rely on geo-targeted advertisement. For projections, we put in place first projections. The service should be viable in the next years, and we would like to emphasize that all the benefits will be reinvested into the project. Premium features we offer could be, for example, unlimited image recognition, exclusive quest avatars and badges, and also photo filters to enhance underwater pictures.
In the framework of our business model, we also had to identify our competitors, such as, for example, Pokemon Go. They catch Pokemon, we catch fish. Well, no, I'm just kidding. But there are other dive log apps which are already available. They're mostly made for experts or professionals, not really user-friendly nor fun to use. That's why, and they most of the time come in like expensive bundles, like with diving gear or with very expensive diving gear. We want to counteract that a bit. If we think of competitors, one could say that other citizen science programs could be considered competitors, but we look at them as partners. Because if we combine forces, we can, first of all, save time and money, which we all like, and maximize the data collected.
So some organizations already support us, and especially one called BioOps, which is a famous citizen science organization in France. We signed a data partnership with them, meaning that all data provided by citizens is validated by their local experts to ensure a good qualified data.
Citizens use multiple sources of data to provide the best experience for users, like Meteo France for the history of atmospheric pressure on swell, the SHOM for the marine protected area, the BioOps for dive center and site and species info, and Edmonet for the cultural data. In the coming year, we will become a data provider too.
For now, we would like to start our experimentation in the south of France, in Nice, with a lot of divers. We would partner up with dive centers who advertise our app, and we would expand from there. I would like to thank everybody on the team, and if you scan this QR code, you can upload images and check for yourself how well our AI works for now. It works for 3 species, so you have to be a bit careful. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. Okay, so as ever, we have time for 2 questions from the jury. If anybody would like to ask any questions, please. And Klaipeda, if you'd like to start getting ready, thank you.
Thank you. So I understood how you go upstream and giving some information about your dive, but does the app allow also to share what other divers have seen? Because you mentioned that you can have some information regarding the species you have seen during your dive, but what about the others? Do you share with others?
Yes, exactly. People can share what they discovered, the pictures, and also the dive spots they like, etc. There is a social feed at the home screen, so yeah, we can do it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for your question.
Any more questions for Toulon?
Hello?
Yes, online.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right.
Hi.
All right. So my question is, where do you intend to do your pilot, for these application? And then the other question will be, what is next for this very interesting, solution provider?
So, well, our pilot site or our pilot dive centers would be surrounded in Nice, because I come from there, so I have the contacts already. And what's next? Well, for now we have in mind maybe for now the lionfish, but there are other invasive species in the Mediterranean Sea, Caribbean, etc. And we would like to act with governmental entities, I would call them, to infer plans, for example, an early warning system for beachgoers, or fishermen, allocating fishing effort into different areas where the invasive fish are more present.
One comment, this service should be used worldwide. It makes sense that every divers around the world can do it, so yeah, and scientific can benefit from it.
Okay, thanks very much. I believe we have one more question from Ivory.
Thank you for the presentation. Can you tell a bit more about how you recognize species, your IA program?
AI chef.
We're using object recognition, which some species for now. If you scan the QR code, you can use your camera, take a picture, and detect the specific species in the index page. But we using YOLO V5. Maybe you know what is it? No, it's a prediction model made for object detection, and you use for the moment public data for training the data the model. And in the future, we want to use our own image and diffuse this image, which valorized data on it to everyone for the scientific.
It's actually YOLO V7, not V5, but exactly.
And if you did not have time to scan the QR code, you can go on We Are Citizens, SEATYZNENS.com.
Okay, thank you very much indeed, Toulon. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So, bonjour. Hello, everyone. We are the Lithuanian team waiting for the slides. I don't know why. We see the slides on the computer, but not on the monitor. Yeah, thank you. So welcome, and we jumped into the challenge real-time platform to monitor inflow of salty water. So let's begin. So we are here, the Europe, the Baltic Sea, salty one, the lagoon here. and our beloved city, Klaipeda, where we had the problem if the salty water from the sea comes to the channel. So Klaipeda and the channel is here. Klaipeda is one of the largest cities in Lithuania and the only one near the Baltic Sea. So
we are happy because we can drink tap water in Lithuania.
Tap water in Lithuania is best and safe to drink.
Drink tap water and be healthy.
Lithuania tap water is among the cleanest in Europe and is a perfectly drinkable. And you can enjoy the views. In Klaipeda, over 60% of citizens get tap water from Wilhelm's Channel.
But sometimes you have a problem.
Due to climate change and extreme events, the salty Baltic Sea water flows into the lagoon, and even more, sometimes reaches the Wilhelm's Canal, where the drinkable water for the city of Klaipeda is produced. If the salty water comes to canal, the water preparation technology might get disturbed. To avoid this, the Drevena slice must be closed. Due to closure of the Drevena slice, excursion boats can no longer sail on Wilhelm's Canal. Therefore, we must ensure the supply of good quality water to the people without disturbing the shipping traffic in the canal.
So, very nice one. But how to know when to close it?
We have a solution, and we will be the first in Lithuania. We developed a real-time website and an SMS warning system that will inform about the saline water intrusions into the Curonian Lagoon. Let me show what we propose.
No competitors. So the platform we present here.
Our system is based on an open-source numerical hydrodynamic model framework, SHIFA, that uses finite element method for discretization. The main parameters we model: water level, water temperature, currents, waves, and salinity. The output data of salinity is transferred to the web page. It's analyzed and can activate the alarm system to inform about the inflow of salty water. Let's go deeper to the system.
So how we know that the water is incoming? So first we would like to thank for the Copernicus and for CMAMS that they produce a nice data sets where we were able to download analysis and forecast data for our models to run. So the main parameters, salinity, water temperature, water levels, we use for our model to force, and we do the downloading every day from here. The forcing is not enough. We need the meteor forcing as well. So we are lucky in Lithuania now that we are able to download the data from our Lithuanian service. So they produce the forecast as well. So we download the data from them and have a really nice data set for our model to be operated operationally. So the next steps, we have the scripts prepared to analyze the data and prepare for the model input operationally. So the other set and the steps 3 and 4, so it's the model run, which can be done every morning. And we can have a forecast for 3 days in advance. So we run the model, we analyze the results, we get 2-point data where close to our channel, and as you see, like waiting few minutes and the data is ready. As a modelers, we need to wait a bit, and like 65, 64. So it's not that we are doing first in advance the 6 months run for the first time, and then every day it's only a few minutes to upload our system. The step 5 and 6 we have the only point data we transfer.
Is modeled by a model nearby Dreven, which is an excursion boat port nearby the sluice that must be closed if danger occurs. Smart and the first system that informs about saline water in the lagoon. The smart system's data is also displayed on a special website, where the information about the water inflow quality is updated every morning. Super comfortable, fast, and smart. The owners of excursion boats get informed about the danger of salty water inflow in the Wilhelm's Canal, where is an SMS sending platform created specially for this reason.
So we know the steps, we have stakeholders, so the port, the tourism, and the steps to do. So first, data integration and validation, model verification, 6 months and 100,000. The web page visualization, additional 3 months and 50,000. Then the SMS providers and finishing the contacts, 12 months, and the total budget about 200,000. About 100 for the maintenance every year to keep the system alive. And we have happy people here with a warning system and with a nice drinkable water without salt inside this. So our team, we were 4, not that big as others. Me as a numerical modeling specialist, Andres, who is here as an IT, Gintare, somewhere remotely, the television and communication, and also programmer student from Lithuania. So thank you, and here we are. The time for questions.
Thank you very much. We have time for 2 more questions. Are there any questions for the Klaipeda team, please?
Thank you for the presentation. Did you have some interaction? I suppose you have some water administration in Lithuania. So did you have any interaction with them? Did they show some interest in your app?
So the challenge was came from the company who is dealing with this. So it was first, so yeah, and we have contacts, and the part of the team was from their company as well here. But after this hackathon, we will have the talk, I guess, with the port and the tourism authorities as well, who are really interested in this as well.
Okay, any more questions, please, either from online or from the jury?
So well, maybe another quick one. Maybe I missed something, but when you showed about the SMS you send, it was on the slide. It said that you send the SMS to ship owners.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure I understood then, because this is an issue of salty water for drinking. So why just for the ship owners?
There is this channel. So the channel is used also for the tourist boats enter to the channel. And there is a gate just entering the channel. So if we close the gates and the boat was inside the channel, there is no way to get out. So it's not only to inform the agency, the company who is working with the water, with the drinkable water, but also we need to inform the leisure boat captains for them that you should be aware that these days the water gates will be closed and you are not able to enter the channel at that moment. So this is not only about the salty water, because it's easy, we can close the gates and we don't care about the intrusions. Just because there is port authorities also working in this channel, there is tourism, so we want to leave it open as long as possible. So just then we get the alarm that we have the income water from the sea, so the salty water is coming because it can damage the filtering system for the water, so we close it. And this is the idea of the challenge.
Okay, if there are no more questions, thank you very much indeed, Klaipeda.
Thank you.
Before we move on to a short interlude to watch a medley of films from the cities represented here today, I would just like to say there are now over 100 people online watching this, so congratulations to everybody. Enjoy the films. Okay, so that concludes our short interval of films from the cities represented today. And it is now time to continue with our pitches. So I believe first we have La Rochelle. Thank you very much indeed and welcome. Take it forward. Okay. Good luck. La Rochelle are just setting up for us. Hello.
So hello everyone and welcome. So you would have experienced noise pollution if it was a bit louder. So sound is produced by numerous sources. It can be of natural sources like animals and earthquakes, or anthropogenic noises like man-made sounds. So since the 20th century, the ocean has gone louder due to the development of human activity. It would have made this noise pollution that you would have heard. So this type of pollution, it may be invisible, but is not less devastating. So depending on the intensity, it can have important impacts on marine animals. So not just vocal animals like marine mammals, but also crustaceans, small fish, animals that we eat. So this type of pollution has important impacts on our economy, but also on the ecosystem. So how does it work? So the closer an animal is to the sound source, the bigger the impact. But if the distance to the sound source increases, the impact decreases until reaching a sound level bearable. So you might just say the animal just has to move away from the sound source, but the human activities have developed so much that animals have nowhere to go. So it's up to us to find a solution. So there are two main solutions. So the technical approach, so it's changing a system and making it quieter. So it's like having a big SUV and turning it into an electric car. The other solution is the operational approach. So you've all been in a big city where there's a lot of cars and a lot of noise. But if you change the transport habits, so making your speed lower, or changing to a bicycle or public transport, that sound level will be less important. So all of these different solutions have been studied for marine activities by different scientists. And this is where we come in.
So our purpose is to develop an app, an easy, user-friendly app, which is called Decibel. And we would like to gather all the information we can find from scientific literature and to gather all different kind of database. For instance, environmental database with the distribution of all type of marine species. Also all the information on the noise impact on these species, what a lot of studies are working on, and the noise level of different type of human activities. All together, we put on this app, and the app will also have a noise propagation model, which we will be able to evolve and to be more complex in time, in order to make Decibel a noise pollution simulator. So how does it work? We just have to go on the website, and you arrive on the map. You can choose where you want to go, so we have all these beautiful destinations. And you can come here in Brest, or we can go to La Rochelle, where the team come from. So let's focus on La Rochelle for now. You can so add some layers of information, for instance, distribution of the fish in this area, if you're interested by fish, or by marine mammal, if you want to study them. And then the user will be able to play with some different type of human activities. So we can add some different type of boats, for instance, pleasure boats or fishing boats. And also then you will be able, for instance, also it can model a wind farm in the area, which is a burning issue actually. And what you can see then, you will see the app monitors the acoustic footprint of all these activities. So in green you can see it's the intensity level. So in green it's not very loud, so you have intensity in decibel. And then you can play also with different features. For instance, let's focus on this boat. You say, okay, if I increase the speed of the boat, what would be the impact of the consequence of the noise pollution? The same with the length. If you have a bigger boat, it will make more noise, and if the boat go faster, it would make also more noise. So all this information is data we know about. And this is very user-friendly. It's just to be able to show what is noise pollution and help people to manage. It could be common public on which boat I would choose if I want to make less noise, for a constructor where I should put my wind farm, and for maybe also so a decision maker who say want to put some regulation, for instance, on the speed. So to make this application viable, we will see how we want to manage this.
So we are in association with 7 members with varied skills like students, maritime law, developer, and we got to know each other during the hackathon, during the Ocean Hackathon, and we have the same goals: protect the marine biodiversity, and we're being transparent about all activities we do. So our project, as Gaëtan said, is an accessible tool for everyone, free access. We have 2 key activities: accompany and raising awareness. So accompany French Office for Biodiversity or international institution, for example, International Maritime Organization, and raising awareness for aquarium, maritime school, and participate at different events like Grand Pavois at La Rochelle.
So you may wonder how we are going to finance our project. We have different kind of resources. For the maintenance costs, we are going to find donation and contribution, and also merchandising. And then for the application and our project development, we are going to find partnership and collaboration, but also public subsidy. So as Lucas said, we met at the Hackathon Ocean in La Rochelle just in December, and we didn't know each other before. So it was just 48 hours to find a solution for our project. Finally, we get really involved in the project, and now we are trying to make it viable. So we will need 5,000 euros at first to begin. That means structure the association, as you see here. So we will need it to communicate about the association mostly, but then we will need some money also to develop the application. We expect it to be fully developed in just 5 years. We will need some money to make a scientific research. So as I said, to find aquariums, but also maritime schools. Then we will put some effort on the research assistance, and at the end the goal is to create a scoring system, because we have not regulation from now, and to become an influent lobbyist. So as a team, we would like to make the ocean quieter. Thank you.
Thank you very much, La Rochelle. Are there any questions, please, for them?
Thank you for the presentation. Regarding the map you showed with the wind farms and the fish and giving the impact, is it based on the statistic model, or do you have a real acoustic propagation model behind?
So for the data of the distribution of the fish and the marine mammals, it comes from published data. So we show it from the site of Ivory, Sexton, I think. And for the acoustic propagation here, for now we use a quite simplistic transmission loss model. And what we put in the site is we know the source level of the activity, and knowing the source level, then we can propagate the sound. And but the transmission model then later could be a little bit more complex, but it's also time, and we use quite a model which are working now. So.
Thank you.
Any more questions, please? Just time for one more, if there are any more. Okay, we have one more in the front row.
Hello. I was wondering whether you could expand a little bit more about how you plan to work together with stakeholders, decision makers, and so on. I know you mentioned it, but maybe you can expand a bit.
Okay. Well, I think we should try to communicate about also the tool. Go find some institution and to show how the tool is working. And
well, yeah, we haven't any regulation nowadays. We have nothing. So, but you can do anything you want. So you can go on the sea and take the speed you want. But we need to make it real for the people. So we need to communicate about it. We need to find organization. We need to find association, because organizations are working together, especially NGOs. So mostly by this way, I think it's more public subject. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much indeed, La Rochelle. And next up, we have Boulogne-sur-mer. Thank you.
Hello, I just the beginning of 2023, and we already have 8 billion people on the planet. 1 out of 2 fish on the market come from aquaculture. However, only a few people know the industry. Do you know the job? It is a wonderful job. Consists of raising on a farm aquaproduct as trout, sea bass, carp, soft skills are necessary for these jobs, as rigor, the ability to adapt but also patience. I have been producing trout for 10 years, and I found it's more and more difficult to find qualified people.
Don't be pessimist. You are the digital age. Look, they are there for now. That's why we propose a serious game-like concept for training learners. The name is Fish Farm Simulator. Look. It's a 3D motion aquaculture unit simulator. The interface is in English to improve the technical vocabulary of the learners, but you can change it if you want. Here, you can give an identity to your player. So, do you want to produce sea bass or trout? Trout, okay. Look, if you press here, you have a small information card about the species, but you know all about it. So let's click on the trout. When the game loads, there are tips and tricks. Here, you have 2 tanks, and you gradually develop your farm. Look, at the bottom left, you have the characteristic of your production and the stocks. You will find the improvement of your equipment and your purchases on the right. And at the top, you have the gauges. First, you have the tiredness of your character. According to your manipulation, you can get tired. Then, I will have the quality waiter, the quantity of oxygen, and a gauge of durability of your company. And of course, your treasury. I'll show you the feeding. As it's the first time you feed, you find information card in your folder, and you look up technical terms with magnifying glass. These information are based on your knowledge and data.
Okay, how far can we progress in the game?
Finally, you can go to a fish recycling aquaculture system with many employees and mechanisms.
Oh, that's a nice project, but what is a serious game?
A serious game is a game whose main purpose is not entertainment. It combines serious intention like education, information, and training with playful elements. This practice was born in 2004 in the US. The global market of serious games was $3.5 billion in 2018. It should reach $24 billion in 2024. Currently, in France, it represents 200 million euros.
Okay, I understand much better now, but it already exists. I mean, I have a farm-on-farm simulator. I've seen this before.
Indeed, there are many similar applications. We can mention Sega, developed by many European universities. However, some games are based on aquacultures, like aquacultures, which presents marine farming, and aquaculture land, which present freshwater fish farming.
Ah, I see. So you suggest a mixture of all this, but are you sure the public's interested?
Of course. Nowadays, there are many aquaculture training centers in France. Nevertheless, the sector struggles to recruit and to interest. That's why we want to develop this application to put an end to the bad image and bring the interest this magnificent profession deserves. There are also several aquaculture companies in the country. In order to maintain a good operation of these production sites, about 40 training centers welcome more than 1,000 students per year in order to be trained in the different fields of aquaculture.
Ah, now I understand the principle, but what are the ins and outs of your project?
As you see, the principle is to simulate the aquaculture unit in the form of a serious game. Our main objective is to highlight the aquaculture industry, the profession, and also to make it fun and educational. The accessibility of the store will allow students with a means of identification. This system will be distributed by the training center that have paid a license fee. This license costs 40 euros per student.
We wish also to get closer to the big aquaculture groups to support our project. Thus, they will be able to place, by a system of publicity, information about job vacancies and internship. They could also be the player's supplier for food and equipment in the game. We also need to approach a design and programming company to develop the digital tools. We are currently in contact with the Polynesia, looking for a national or regional subsidy, allowing us to start the project. The development can be done for different species and ecosystems. We will have to work on the data corresponding to each detail of the game, taking well into account the environment. Thus, by reaching a young public at the door of the working world, they will be fully aware of the current states of aquaculture.
To develop the application, we will need a game designer, a programmer, a game artist, and a quality manager for the test. We estimate that it will take 6 months to develop the first version of the application. We also have charges for hosting the application on the App Store and Play Store platforms. We estimate the total amount needed for this first version at 70,000 euros.
Later, we would like to add new spaces, new ecosystem, and much more. Then, Fish Farm Simulator has several sustainable development objectives. For example, the quality education or responsible consumption and production. To conclude, we wait to develop an educational tool. It will present the aquaculture profession as realistically as possible. That's why we insist on environment, biology, economics, but also techniques or ethics for the reality of the job. The power of this project is our experience of the trade, because I'm Hélène Samsoun and I'm an aquaculture teacher in a technical high school.
I'm Maëlonde. I'm a student of food processing engineering.
I'm Seydou Samb. I'm a student in the master's degrees in quality and food processing and fisheries.
I'm Camille. I am in the same master's. Thanks for your attention.
Thank you very much indeed, Boulogne. Are there any questions for the team, please? Yep, we have one question here, I think.
Thank you. And did you imagine to use your game to evaluate students or just to form them?
Thanks for your question. We have not think about it because it's for learning, not for. We want students play for learn, yes, not for they see like an evaluation.
Like his name, it's a serious game. It's just to train how to do the job. We don't previous evaluation in the application.
Okay, thank you very much. Any more questions for the team, please?
I just want to ask a question around, the price, for the student. $40 for student, a little bit expensive, no?
Thanks for your question. It's not the students who paid the license. It's the center, the training center, who paid for all of the students. We estimated for it's 40 euros for a year, but we count every people this year in every formation for estimate the price for be benefit with 70,000 euros for the price to develop it.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, and well done, Boulogne. Okay, next up we have Abidjan. Unfortunately, we only have one representative from the team here today. So I would like to welcome Didier, who's somewhere there in the audience, and the rest of his team, who will be presenting their pitch to you online. Okay, so take it away, Abidjan.
Hello everyone, I'm Vaisa from the DFTP team. I'm very pleased to present Kartoma, our innovative solution for a sustainable management and restoration of mangrove. Before I take a deep dive into the subject, let me tell you the story of Laoponda, a small coastal community in Côte d'Ivoire that, not so long ago, lived peacefully on the shores of mangrove. But over time, this mangrove has been degraded, leaving the community exposed to the rough sea. Today, this community is suffering a lot from the effects of the degradation, such as houses, hospitals, and urban cemeteries being washed away. By 2050, this community could disappear entirely.
Unfortunately, this story is far from being unique, and the loss of mangroves threatened not only 300 million people living in flood-prone coastal areas, but also our economy, our flood security, our health, and our quality of life. Therefore, it's urgent to protect and restore mangroves. But above all, it's important to consider the needs and interests of stakeholders in this process, such as environmental needs for governments and conservation organizations, livelihood for local communities, and safeguarding investment for businesses. This is why we need to ask this crucial question. How can all these stakeholder needs be considered to develop a sustainable solution for mangrove protection and restoration? To address this challenge, we created Kaltuma, a solution that includes first, mangrove mapping, two, monitoring, and three, restoration. By using Kaltuma, users can ensure that the needs of the environment and local communities are met while protecting business investments. The added value of our solution can be perceived through these main advantages. With an ergonomic and intuitive interface, Kaltuma allows an inclusive management for the different stakeholders. Powered by artificial intelligence, this user-friendly and time-saving tool helps achieving some tasks such as mapping, field mission planning, and detection of new areas, as well as anticipating some risk with the prediction function. Kaltuma is also flexible as it can be enriched with external data and is designed with a centralized management system. With these advantages, Kaltuma is the ideal solution for sustainable management of mangrove ecosystem. What about its design? First of all, we developed Kaltuma by collecting satellite demographic location and company data. This data collection was done through the integration of reliable APIs. Then we integrated several AI models for segmentation, species detection, and prediction to process the data quickly and efficiently. Besides, we added more flexibility to the tool by implementing the ability to import external data to enrich any analysis. Finally, the last but not the least, our platform also offers a secure storage for the data. In short, Kaltuma architecture is based on state-of-the-art technologies and ensures security, performance, and resilience.
We are going to show you how you can effectively manage mangroves with our Kaltuma solution. Once you are in Kaltuma, you can naturally start by choosing the country whose mangroves you want to observe. Kaltuma provides you with a detailed description of all the mangroves in the selected country, including relevant indicators such as the overall area, its coverage in relation of the coastline, and its status from 1996 to 2022. For example, over this period of time, we have lost around 2 kilometers square of mangroves. In addition, you can view images of mangroves in this country. And what if you want to know more about a specific area? With Kaltuma, you just have to click on the area. This way, you have access to precise data such as the location, superficie, carbon sequestration, density, as well as the species of mangroves in this specific area. You can even preview the images of this area. With the inclusive management feature of Kaltuma, you can also access to information about local people, the activities and cultures, and as well as companies with their name and sectors of activity. With all this information, you can take into account the needs and interests of the different stakeholders in your mangroves protection and biodiversity conservation mission, and categorize the area accordingly. Now, if you wish to share the details of this area with others, Kaltuma allows you to download the detailed reports in PDF or PowerPoint format. This report can be used as a basis for decision making. You can also follow evolution of mangroves between 2 dates. For example, you can see how mangroves have degraded from 1996 to 2022. And if you want to know more about the cause of this degradation, you can switch to satellite view and observe. Finally, if you are an expert and want to analyze an area not covered by Kaltuma, you can simply select this area and start the analysis. You can also create an inspection mission to continue your investigations. You just have to complete a small form and create it. Then, with this flexible feature of Kaltuma, you can upload the reports of test investigation to enrich the information already available on this area. With this demo, we just show you that with Kaltuma, you can effectively manage inclusively your mangrove ecosystem. Make easily certain tasks such as detection of new area, field mission planning, and analyze an historic of mangrove evolution. And finally, we allow researchers, university, students, community to contribute things to Kaltuma flexibility feature.
Our commitment to the protection of nature and biodiversity is fully in line with the global objectives of COP15. We offer a premium package for organizations, governments, and companies that share this vision and are committed to achieving them. For researchers, universities, and consultancy looking for them. For researchers, universities, and consultants looking for effective tools, our Pro package is for you. And for all nature lovers, especially mangrove lovers. Over the next 6 years, we will consolidate the company as a leader in the field of bioecosystem. This will be achieved by constantly developing new service offerings to meet customer needs. Secondly, by expanding the business into new regions using impactful marketing and communication techniques. Finally, we will place greater emphasis on our social responsibility policies.
The skills of the team members cover many fields, such as data science, artificial intelligence, and so on. We'd like to thank you for your interest on environmental issues, especially for giving us the opportunity to contribute to its protection through our customer solution. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Abidjan. Are there any questions from the jury, please?
Thank you for the presentation. I understood that you use satellite image to get the information for Cartoma. Do you also use in situ observation or crowdsource observation?
We don't use crowd observation, we only use in-situ observation, Copernicus for the Sentinel-2A data.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any more questions? We have time for one more.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, please.
Please
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. It's very interesting projects. I just want to come back to the business model. So you have you present your offer, but you never talk about the expense of the development and the development of the solution mainly. So we cannot evaluate the viability of your business model. We just have the offer, but we don't know how is all this functionality worth actually.
Okay. For this part, we use free data for satellite images, but for the APIs, we use both free and paying. And for the materials, such as computers and servers, we paid some servers on OVH. So all this constitutes manufacturing costs. And also, we work with some experts that not freely. We pay for their expertise. So all this contribute to the choice of our business model prices. So we use the method of cost plus pricing. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much indeed, Abidjan.
We have another question.
Okay, sure, far away.
From Cluster Maritime Français. It's in the chat. So is this solution able to be duplicated for other territories, as Caribbean islands, for example?
Yes, our model have a good performance internationally. We can, for example, go to China and we show our model perform well, that also have the same information that we have on South Africa countries.
Okay.
You can see the example here from China.
Okay.
On this screen, you can see, for example, for the lost, maybe the construction of this bridge is because for the degradation of the mangrove. So to conclude, we can say that our Kapma model can be expanded everywhere. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Abidjan. Thank you. Great. And that takes us to Mexico, who are here in person today. Welcome, Mexico.
Okay, let's start with a mini video.
Good afternoon in Brest and buenos días en México.
Located in the Gulf of Mexico, there is a place with a lot of history and abundant natural beauty. The Lacranes Reef has been a reference point for navigation due to its danger since 16th century. On its surface, we find the original lighthouse, currently out of service, and a wooden house placed by the federal government at the end of 19th century. Both are considered historical monuments. Today, there is a team of underwater archaeologists working for the conservation and safeguarding of the remains of the ships that wrecked in this dangerous place. Researchers carry out systematic explorations through transects and make use of the detection technique using a portable magnometer to identify metal elements hidden in the sand or corals. Finally, a map is drawn up and reviewed in the office. The results obtained are unprecedented and allow us to reconstruct the history of steam navigation in Mexico. These findings deserve to be shared with younger generations. First, let me explain you the biocultural context. Do you know the importance of shipwrecks for the marine ecosystem? They are part of the underwater cultural heritage and serve as a substrate for many coral species, which provide refuge for the marine fauna. The Lacranes Reef harbors a great biodiversity of endemic, threatened, and useful species for humans. That's why it must be preserved. However, there are two great challenges: the theft and deterioration of archaeological pieces and the lack of divulgation. The Lacranes Reef is located in 70 nautical miles from Puerto Progreso, Yucatan. It has been declared a protected natural area which contains historical and biological treasures that provide ecosystem services. Do you know the amount of archaeological remains found on the site? To name a few, the MS-4, which was part of a fleet of 14 UK steamships, the Makuka anchor, artillery pieces such as cannons and musketed balls, as well as jewelry and coins.
Okay, the principal problems that affect this beautiful reef is the pollution, the non-sustainable tourism, the looting of the heritage, climate change and natural events, the lack of vigilance and fishing control. This visual novel, yes, It's a way to learn about the impact of pollution, the consequence of your cultural heritage, and promote a sustainable lifestyle. Please again. In order to resolve this project, we use maps, geographical information systems, articles provided from the researchers by National Institute of Anthropology and History, INA, software, Illustrator software, a video game platform. Okay, during the hackathon, we use we are provide for ocean, for data from ocean model, so we decide to plot some currents, like some topics like a current, salinity, temperature, and in this area. The information obtained, it was published in a website when you can find some geographical, biological, and geological information, and people who want to learn more about this reef can consult this website. And there you can find some graphs that we find from Big Maps, GIPCO, INEGI, Conavio, etc.
Our visual novel is called Chetnal, which means navigator in the Mayan language. Our project is to children from 7 to 12 years old, and they will interact with Itza, who is a 11 years old girl who enjoys diving, William, who is a leader of looting crew, the parrotfish, which is a species of the region, and Itza's dad, who is an underwater archaeologist.
Next, I will show you the gameplay of the graphic novel. Here we can see the main menu and the options that the player can modify. At the beginning, an historical introduction is shown with the MS4 following the maritime route from Europe to America, explaining the shipwrecks in the area. Then we observe more archaeological sites, such as the lighthouse. The player must choose a correct answer to continue in the game. As the story goes, Itza meets the secondary characters like William, the pirate who's a tricky antagonist. According to the selected path, the scenario will change to show the good or bad consequences. What are the advantages of the project? Rainby platform allows the video game to be ready for playing online or through the cell phone as long as Mozilla Firefox is used as a browser. While the children have fun, they will learn and develop a cultural belonging. The video game is written in colloquial language and is free, and it has the potential to reach more children because it's in Spanish and English. Our business model consists of selling official merchandise, and the profits obtained will be used for the continuous improvement of the visual novel. There is a great potential to create new scenarios with cultural heritage.
And like a final remark, we find some. The underwater archaeologist is a discipline that needs a great divulgation between the youngers. The visual novel promotes the conservation of historical pieces and that are part of the marine ecosystem. As they play, children experience the good and the bad consequence to the decision, and the new knowledge acquired is applicable in real life situation. So we are a multidisciplinary team offering a new way to education experience. So scan the code and let's play. Thank you, merci, muchas gracias.
Thank you very much indeed. Do we have any questions from the floor, please?
Hello, thanks for the presentation. I might have missed it, but for the educational game, are you planning to work with schools, or how are you planning to reach the children?
Okay, it's not planning for the schools, it's planning for the governmental institution, like National Institute of Archaeology and Anthropology. And it maybe can be in other places with archaeology pieces. So it's not, okay. Thank you.
We have time for another question, if there are any here or online, please. I think we have an online question on its way.
Oh, I think that's it. Thank you for the great presentation. I really like the game you made. It looks really nice, really interesting. What's not clear to me is you show that you were integrating some climatic data in your kind of game. How exactly did you integrate that? And will the game also teach about climate change impacts, or what are you using the climate data for?
Well, yes, this information is in a part of game, but the other information is in a website when you can consult. And we have some data in this part.
Okay, thank you very much indeed, Mexico.
Thank you.
Okay, we will now have a few words from Madame Alice Dejoux, the project manager of Campus Mondial de la Mer Technopole Brest-Iroise, who's going to tell us about the next hackathon. Over to you, Alice.
Hello, everyone. This grand final of the 2022 edition highlights very nice projects, and I'm very impatient to see the followers. Before to discover the last ones, I take the floor to give you a preview, a taste of the next edition, the 8th one. As said by Michel Gourtet at the opening, Ocean Hackathon was imagined here, created here in Brest in 2016. It was tested and optimized for 3 years before the opening up to other towns and cities, first in France and then worldwide for 4 years. The coordinator of this event, since its inception to the present day, has been Juliette. She's in the control room behind you. So on behalf of all of us, I would like to thank her. It's taking such a big step now. Thank you very much, Juliette. Oh, sorry. There is a trouble with the... Yeah, it's on. Okay, let's go back. Thank you, Juliette. So, today we present you the Ocean Hackathon 2023 poster. It's always a very awaited moment. So, as you can see, we moved from pink and cyan to blue, to yellow and purple. I'm sure you can see the reference to World of Jules Verne, and perhaps you see Nautilus here, the Captain Nemo's ship. So after this unveiling, what are the main deadlines? All organizations wishing to host the event in their town or city must apply before March 31st. The form and all information will be online on our website from next Monday. The preparation of the event will begin very quickly on April 10th with a quick-off meeting. So all advisors interested in Ocean Hackathon can already save the date. Okay. The call for challenges will be launched in early May, and after a selection phase, managed by the advisors in each town or city, the registrations will open mid-September. The local editions of Ocean Hackathon events will take place the same weekend from 17 to 19 November 2023. And we expect to organize the grand final in mid-December at the end of the year. The organization of Ocean Hackathon is a good opportunity to strengthen local communities, and we hope that new cities and towns will apply and will join our international community. Regarding the call to host Ocean Hackathon, just some piece of advice. Especially if you have never organized Ocean Hackathon yet, dive into the guide. It contains a lot of information about the whole process, including what you need to consider before applying. It sets out how to ensure your local event and Ocean Hackathon overall is a success. Also build a team of 3 people with clearly defined tasks, 1 person focusing on the overall local organization, the second having data skills and a good knowledge of maritime issues, and the third for the promotion of the event. The 3 names of the representatives should be known when you apply. So don't hesitate to contact me or for any question you may have by phone or more modern devices. So good luck to all of you. We look forward for your applications, and we will be very happy to accompany you in your Ocean Hackathon next year. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. That brings us nicely to our last 4 pitches. And up next, we have the home team, Brest.
Here we are in front of the Copacabana beach. This car park is threatened by rising sea level. What's the solution?
How about returning this place to nature?
No, too coastal development.
Okay, we will have consultations in order to find a better solution.
What do you suggest? Consultation? It's not enough. I'm fed up with these endless meetings full of post-it notes. In the end, nothing good can ever come from these meetings. Well, have you all understood the issue? So we're going to move on to talk to you more specifically about consultation. What are the problems? Some of us work in public institutions, local authorities, for example, and we've identified 3 significant issues regarding coastal risk management. First, a lack of knowledge of existing tools. Second, communication difficulties between all the stakeholders. And third, difficulties developing a strategy and defining priorities. To meet these challenges, we've created the Seascape game, which is a serious game. So, what's a serious game? It's a game in which professionals consider a case study in a specific field. Here, the subject is related to coastal risks, that's to say, erosion and rising sea level. The purpose is to facilitate consultation between key stakeholders. Our Seascape game is different from other serious games. It combines both physical and digital technologies. It's innovative from a technological point of view, but it's also fun, interactive, and very attractive.
I'll prove all this to you by opening the game box. Are you ready?
Unboxing time!
So, what's inside the box? The key elements. The 3D model with a fictional map projected onto this model. But what a dummy map? Because we've decided to merge the whole range of issues on the same map. There are 6 players, the stakeholders. Each one has its own character sheet in order to better understand this function. And there are action cards. Let's have a look at the rule. So, what is the aim of the game? To ensure the sustainability of a territory. It's a collaborative game, but every player has their own goals. One turn lasts 10 years. The game ends in 2100 related to IPCC prediction. Thus, in total, there are 7 turns. During each turn, the stakeholders play forecasted action. Then there is discussion time before everyone confirms their action. Discussion time is very crucial in this game. Once actions have been confirmed, we run the random generation of the hazard between 2 turns. I'll now pass you over to Cathy. Cathy will show you how a turn works.
Hello, I'm Cathy. So I play the role of the mayor of Baytown. To play, I first look at my character sheet, my function, and my roles. Like Monopoly, I decide to urbanize a seaside area because it costs only 2,500 smogs. Smog is the currency. I think this investment should be profitable in the next few turns. Now, let's have a look at Milan for the simulation. So I decide to take the urbanization action card, and I place it on the NFC reader, which is connected to the Raspberry, so the computer. Next, I place the position marker on my chosen area in order to specify where the action takes place. Great, now I can see my brand new development on the 3D model. At the end of the turn, a hazard is generated randomly, and a newspaper is printed in order to know the consequences of this turn. But unfortunately, the newly created area is flooded, and the inhabitants have very wet feet.
So we need to do a risk assessment. I suggest in the next turn playing the card Coastal Risk Assessment.
Yes, you're right.
So, to move on the nuts and bolts of the project, several technologies have been used. 3 specifically for this project. Video mapping, infrared detection, and NFC tools. For the all-important map on the simulation, we are very grateful to have able to use a lot of geographical data, especially erosion and marine submersion from the CEREMA, the CHOM, Météo France, and the IPCC.
So, do you remember the name of the game currency, SMOG? Well, the Seascape game project is supported by the SMOG Association. SMOG means Smart Map Augmented, and its aim is to develop innovative maps. SMOG already provides animated workshops to territory stakeholders. We use virtual reality, interactive and educational maps. Looking ahead, we estimate the total cost of developing our project at around 10,000 euros. so not an arm and a leg, right? So you might wonder, what does it mean for the end user? How much will it cost them? Well, with the Seascape game, we plan to offer 2 packages. The first one is the animation package. SMOG members will manage the whole game, from the setting up of the game to the animation. And all this for 1,500 euros per half day of animation. And the second one is the autonomy package. A facilitator will be trained by the association and the game will be rented. Then, customized map can be created on request. But you might ask, how long does it take for the game to pay off? Well, in less than 10 workshops, we should break even.
This game has been created for coastline management stakeholders, but also for the general public. For now, the association wishes to keep the ownership of the integrity of the game.
Yeah, but looking ahead, our ambition is to extend the game to include other complementary issues involving the great water cycle issue. For instance, green algae, freshwater flooding, or even hedgerow management. So thank you to the SMOG, thank you to the whole team.
So let us introduce you the whole team. First, we've got Luisa, our FPM, fantastic project manager.
Maëlys, ASE, amazing submersion expert.
Cathy, our PG, precious GIS expert.
Pauline, WGD, wonderful graphic designer.
Anaël, our MMD, marvelous marketing director.
Milan, LL, Swedish Square, awesome lead Swedish designer.
Victorien, our MLD, magnificent level designer.
A1 WLD, youngest lead developer of Ocean Hackathon, only 18.
And Thibaut, our EWD, extraordinary DIY designer.
And JB, ZPOS, president of SMOG.
Thanks for listening. Place for questions.
Thank you very much, Brest. Are there any questions from the floor for the guys, please?
Thanks for your presentation. Can you explain a little more about how you simulate hazards?
Okay, in the end of each turn, we simulate hazard. We use data from CEREMA, for example.
France.
In fact, the purpose is not a real simulation. It's to discover which people which stakeholder have like action. For example, the purpose is to discover how many tools we have for marine submersion.
And it's not to have a real simulation, it's to just make people discuss together on the territory.
Okay, any more questions, please? I believe we have another one. Thank you.
Yeah, can I go ahead? Yeah?
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you for the impressive presentation. I was wondering, how do you imagine this could be used, for example, for public consultation regarding marine renewable energy, which is a big challenge for the years to come? Can you imagine some ways that your game could be used to help this public consultation?
It could adapt. It could adapt, that's sure. We have to add action cards. We have to add actors. I think it's this could be a very useful tools for EMR.
I think in order to do that, we should very learn about every marine. We should learn about what did you say it was renewable energy?
Wind farms.
Yeah, wind farm, for example. I think we should learn about every one we can find in Europe, for example. We should see what works, what doesn't, and then it could be added to the hazard thing. So yeah, I think we should think about that. It could be something that we could develop then.
I believe we have one more question.
Hi, thank you for your presentation. It was great. You mentioned that one of the problems you're facing is miscommunication among stakeholders. I'm wondering how you're quantifying through your workshops and game improvement in communication with your stakeholders, and if you have a metric for that.
So you've seen a sample of the game. The mix between the physical and the digital, and every people around a table with more than post-its, more than just each one on his own table. It improves greatly discussion between people. And then you have also the animators that links people together.
And I think the added value of this game is that the important thing is to discuss at every turn what we want to do in the action. I think the main goal here is to discover others' action, especially with the stakeholders. So at every turn they talk, and at the end of the game we have a return of what we did and what could have we done in other ways. So I think it's a way for the stakeholders to really understand what can be done. It's not just want to find one key solution, but really to talk and discover about every other actions.
And the fact that it's fun makes people in good conditions to talk together.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Brest.
Okay, I think I had a question.
And next up, we have Cape Town. Welcome to Cape Town.
Testing, testing. Wow, Brest, beautiful presentation, thank you. And yeah, bonjour, thanks everyone. So, did you know that about half of the human population depend on the oceans for their main source of food? And by proportion, we actually get most of our protein from fish. Yet, we're caught in a sort of tragedy of the commons type situation where we're fishing faster than the rate at which fish populations can replenish naturally. So we need to shift the incentive structures that are driving illegal overfishing. Otherwise, we risk the collapse of our marine ecosystems and the many lives that depend upon them.
Yeah. Illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing refers to the activities that defy laws and regulations and fishery management measures. It is a global issue that is very difficult to monitor and police, and that is why it's one of the biggest problems or obstacles to achieving sustainable fisheries and livelihoods. It equates to approximately 11 to 19% of reported global fishery production, and leads to losses of roughly 10 to 22 billion euros all around the world each year.
So unmonitored, unregulated oceans, they don't just enable overfishing or IUU fishing, they also enable the trafficking of humans and drugs. Now, these crimes undermine the political and economic stability of our nations. They degrade the dignity of our communities, and in many cases, they can ruin the lives of individuals and families.
Yeah, and due to the severity of this problem, where some ships or boats just turn off their AAS signals to conduct such crimes, we decided to tackle it at the Ocean Hackathon Cape Town edition. My name is Frank. I'm a computer science master student at Ulm University in Germany, and I did research in Cape Town on data science for ecology, mostly about machine learning and bioacoustics with bats. And
I'm Theo from Cape Town, South Africa. I'm a physicist by training, now working in data engineering and biotechnology. My passion or my aspiration is to pioneer the blue bioeconomy in South Africa. And I also want to dedicate my time to safeguarding and restoring our ocean's precious resources. So there are several solutions out there already on the market that are mitigating IUU fishing. So these include marine monitoring buoys, there's also satellite imaging techniques, and then there's also remote electronic monitoring systems that get installed directly into ships. Now, these technologies are great when it comes to precision, generally speaking, but our solution it requires far less capital investment. And so it is really well suited to countries such as South Africa, where we have very limited resources available to dedicate towards marine protection. And it's also suitable to a lot of countries that already have existing high-frequency radar infrastructure, which is actually a lot of countries, because we use these stations on the coast to monitor the surface currents of the ocean.
Yeah, so our solution uses high-frequency radar data that's, as you said, usually used for monitoring the ocean currents or surface ocean currents. And there are already installed like all around the coastlines of the world. And they use the Doppler effect to measure the wave velocities at different points. And we also use AAS data, which is the ship location data and also other associated data that is sent by the ships to the stations on the land. And we trained a neural network with the high-frequency radar data as the input, and we're trying to reconstruct the ship location data and compare it to the actual AIS data to let the model know if it's correct or if it's not correct. And by that, we train the model to reconstruct the ship locations, even if the ships have turned off the AIS signal. And by that, we can just catch them at the port when they're back from doing their fishing and check them for illegal activities like fishing, endangered species, or anything else here.
Thanks, Frank. Yeah, so this ship detection model that we trained is really just the centerpiece in a broader IUU fishing alert system that we designed during the hackathon. So given the predicted locations of the ship, what we can do is we can run it through various checks. So for example, we can check, is the vessel within a marine protected area, yes or no? Is the ship dark? Has it gone into pirate mode, right? Has it turned its AIS signal off? And then we can also check, is the ship within our exclusive economic zone? And does it have a valid fishing permit to be there? And what this enables us to do is to derive a much more valuable, much more actionable data set where we have the ship locations in close to real time and a list of their infringements. So now let's have a look at the front-end interface.
Yeah, so this is our graphical interface. It's fully functional, very simplistic and easy to use. And as you can see, you can turn on and off the MPAs if you want, or the EEC lines. And you can load your data, your AAS data from your system. And you can also import your high-frequency data. And obviously, this will be automated in the future with live streaming. It's doing the predictions. You can go through all the time steps using this playback feature, and we can also predict the trajectory of the ships that went dark, so we can catch them at the port. And as you can see, yeah, you can turn on and off each part of the map. You can switch on and off the radars, the AIS, and the predicted ships.
So yeah, we can catch the pirates at the port and prosecute if need be. We are a for-profit business, and we provide a data service, which is this IUU fishing alert system to governments and potentially large fishing organizations as well. And our pricing is based at the various levels of access to our data services. In terms of the size of the opportunity, well, if we take the global fishing sector at 230 billion euros per year, where we've included the total revenue of the fishing sector plus the losses incurred due to these illegal fishing activities, then we have a serviceable available market at 10%. That is the losses, that's an upper bound really. That's the losses incurred by IUU fishing. Now, our claim is that if we can, again, this is global, if we can take just 0.2% of the total addressable market, then our growth potential is 460 million euros. Now, we've had a lot of support. A shout out to Ocean Hub Africa. I know they're online. CLS Southern Africa, various other stakeholders. We're delighted to be here. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much indeed, Cape Town. Are there any questions from the front row or from online, please? I believe we have our first question now.
Thank you again for another impressive presentation. A question regarding the range of your radar. Is it over the horizon radar?
So it's around 150 kilometers, roughly speaking. So unfortunately, we can't really reach out past the EEZ, but with the right technological developments, I think it will be possible to get further.
Okay, thank you. Maybe another quick question, because you mentioned that you use artificial intelligence to detect the ship, but do you also use artificial intelligence to know if the boat is fishing?
So currently we cannot know if it's actually fishing, but we can detect if they're in an illegal zone, like if they're in an MPA or if they're outside of the EEZ or inside in the EEZ. We can detect that, and because we know the trajectory and probably can estimate the arrival time and the exact arrival destination, we can just try to prosecute them there or look if they have specific species for those MPAs.
Yeah, but don't you think you could use the cinematic of the ship, use the speed and the behavior of the ship to assess whether it's fishing or not?
We thought about it. Maybe you can do that if they're like stopping to fish, or we have to figure it out. We need more data and more annotated data for like if it's fishing or not fishing. We currently don't have that.
Okay, thank you.
Just to add to that, I think it is possible, future developments at play, and we can also look at partnering with people using the satellite imaging techniques that will also help confirm.
Thank you.
Any more questions? Yes, hello everyone. I have a question from a jury member, a remote jury member. I'm in Tamhoa. I work with the French Ministry of the Sea. I expect every navy in the world would be interested in such a tool. And my question is, when teaching training your model, how did you check its precision, and what success rates did you reach?
So we still need more validation, because the AIS data especially is very expensive, and high frequency data is very scarce. We don't have enough of that. So accuracy is not that high, but how to train it, it's quite simple, I guess. We can just map the locations of the ships onto an image, and the high frequency radar data, we can also map it onto an image, and we can use just image models on that to reconstruct it.
Yeah. Thanks, Frank. I mean, just to riff on that, I think as with many machine learning projects, with more data, we'll get more accuracy. We had a cost function value, which doesn't tell us that much, relatively low, 0.01. So yeah, but I think with more data, we can get it better. And there was one more thing. We did do a literature review, and there was a few papers out there that are also claiming that using HF radar data to do this kind of thing, it is feasible, it seems.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed, Cape Town.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And next we have Santiago, I believe.
Okay. Should I go? Everyone hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Well, hi everyone. My name is Eduardo Guajardo, and I will present our solution for the protection of the ocean. We live in threat. Human activity has impacted our biosphere in such a way that the global biodiversity is in danger. During the last decade, the coverage and biomass of marine forests has been decreasing in over 30% of the ecoregions around the globe, with local extinction of some species and changes in the community structure as a result of several factors related like climate change. Kelp forests are a highly productive ecological system characterized by the presence of macroalgae capable to form a canopy over the seafloor and three-dimensional structures that provide shelters and habitat for a large number of species. They support ecosystem services related with coastal maintenance, regulation, research supplies, and culturals. However, the study of kelp forests is expensive in cost and time. They usually rely on scuba or free diving method, and some areas are hard to reach. Because of this, the monitoring of some species over large areas is not yet possible. However, some species such like the giant kelp Macrocystis pyrifera can reach the surface, giving more alternatives for the spatial recognition of their presence and cover. Thanks to satellite image, it is possible to extract with high resolution relevant information about the spatial structure and temporal dynamics of those kelp forests. And an example of that was published in 2020 by Alejandra Mora, member of Blue Alert, who developed a spectral filter of Sentinel-2 image to detect the giant kelp canopies. By following that methodology, Blue Alert aims to enable and facilitate the access to this information for anyone who needs to study the current status and trends of kelp forest. We are Blue Alert, an interdisciplinary team born in the context of the Ocean Hackathon 2022, event that allows us to gather the expertise of marine biologists and ecologists, geographers, data scientists, and AI and remote sensing research. Our method consists in downloaded image from Sentinel-2. Then we apply a process in which we remove the influence of land, waves, tide, and clouds. Then we apply a kelp filter to obtain the spatial distribution of the species and summarize this data into monthly or seasonal average to reconstruct the time series of the kelp cover. This process was made entirely using Google Earth Engine as well as Python Colab notebook tools. Finally, we implement a prototype visualization user-friendly for anyone who wants to get this information on any spatial or temporal scales. Therefore, the access to the kelp covers data, the consensus map, and the temporal series will be freely available to be consulted and downloaded through virtual platforms such as web pages or mobile application. On the other hand, in the spirit to ensure the continuity of the project, we will enable a paid section which gonna include other sources of data like temporal series of environmental variables or more profound analysis such as the relationship of the kelp with climatic data, a stability report, forecast, or even early warnings. So for example, during the Santiago Ocean Hackathon 2022, we worked on a prototype including 3 localities of the Chilean coast where giant kelp forests can be found: Gaviotas and Dama Island, Algarrobo, and Navidad. At each site, we validate the satellite data with drone orthomosaic pictures taken some days before the contest. Once validated, we summarize the data into monthly average of the kelp cover from 2015 to 2021. With this information, we calculate the temporal trend of the kelp cover by year, the relationship of the kelp with other variables like the sea surface temperature. We calculate the intra and interannual variability of the kelp stability for each site. We study the annual oscillation of the kelp forest and compare this data with the ensocycles which describe the anomalies in warming, El Niño, or cooling, La Niña, on the surface water in the Eastern Pacific Ocean, and analyze the relationship between those cycles and the kelp forest cover. All of this was made during the 48 hours of the Ocean Hackathon. In the near future, Blue Alert will also account for a website where you'll find more about us and our work. Finally, after the event, we had the possibility to get in touch with Data Observatory, a nonprofit organization that seeks to maximize the benefit that can be obtained from data. We formalized an alliance with them by which we expect to work together in the processing, storage, and visualization of this data. We know that this technology is highly replicable to other parts of the world. However, since every region has their own characteristic, it is important to carry out a validation process to control other source of variation or noise that could lead to a kelp misidentification. Nevertheless, we expect that through the development of Blue Alert, we can contribute to the current effort on satellite detection such as kelpwatch.org. We expect to generate new alliances and work together with national or international entities, laboratories, and research centers. I would like to finish by saying that just like the microscope and the telescope in their own time, technology allows us a new scale of visualization. Soon enough, any person on this planet will be able to see on one side the marine forest in the Southeast Pacific Ocean and their oscillation in time. This is Blue Alert, a high technology facing an environmental emergency. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you very much indeed. Does anybody have any questions for Eduardo, please? Yeah, I think we have a question from the floor.
Thanks for your presentation. Can you tell us what the evolution of the kelp forest tells us about the evolution of the ocean health?
Evolution in terms of phylogenetic relationship?
Of ocean health in global. Is it a marker, an indicator of ocean health?
Well, we know, in general terms, we know a lot about kelp forest systems. We know, for example, that are limited by warm water, 20 degrees, above 20 degrees in the water turn out to be fatal for the forest. We know how they are interconnected with the environment, so there is a strong relationship. If something changes in the environment, that alteration is going to affect the forest cover or the forest presence in the place. So the evolution of the system as a climatic point of view, for example, is integrated, strongly integrated with the evolution of the marine forest system. So if we could track one of them, we could establish this relationship and do something about it, or I don't know, make some early warnings, for example. I don't know if that's what you were asking.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, just before we take another question, if the team from Sausalito would like to start getting ready, please. Okay, any more questions for Eduardo, either online or from the floor? Okay, no more questions, I don't think. Oh.
Thank you very much.
Oh, maybe one more? Yes, sorry, we do have one more question. Sorry, Eduardo, here we are.
Hi,
Go
Eduardo. Who is your main user at the moment and also later on once you've validated it and are expanding into other regions? who is the main target for this?
Well, there are two main targets, actually, the scientific community and the decisions taker. We want to get into the government entities in order to apply effective form of management of these resources. So these two working together, we know that it is a strong power. For one hand, you have the scientific community who can extract this data and establish all sort of the relationship with the environment, and you have this decisions taker with, well, we expect they provide to us ways or forms to conserve or to protect these systems. So there are two main objectives.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much indeed, Santiago. Eduardo, thank you. And last but not least, I give you Sausalito. Welcome.
Hi everyone. All of us are coming here today from very different coastal regions that are all key parts of our collective ocean. All of them are having Each place has unique ecosystems and human uses, but many of them share a similar challenge, and that is with data. So unlike big ocean data that is readily available, it is oftentimes challenging to find local data that is specific to coastal zones, and that's usually just 30 meters offshore. And this poses a great challenge for coastal communities that are seeking to take informed action. And that's where we come in. The Sea-Track team has worked with the municipality of Cascais to pilot a coastal monitoring program. Our team came together in Sausalito from across the United States, Portugal, Spain, and Trinidad and Tobago. So to set the scene for you, Cascais is a local, small fishing town located just north of Lisbon in Portugal, and it is deeply rooted in a rich maritime culture. It's home to sea bass and octopus fisheries, recreational boating, and tourism. However, like other municipalities and localities, there's challenges when it comes to identifying exactly where illegal fishing and unregulated activities and conflicting boating activities are occurring. So that's because the coastline is often vast and enforcement capacity is limited. And to help resolve that, we came up with a program that identifies marine use trends so that coastal communities like Cascais can inform their enforcement efforts, their marine management plan, and involve stakeholders in the process of protecting the sustainable use of marine resources.
So we know that there's a lot of different types of monitoring technologies out there. There's long-range cameras, automated information systems, buoy sensors, and drone surveillance. And we know that all of these can be useful for different types of communities. What's great about our technology is that we can layer different types. For Cascais in particular, we decided to use AIS and citizen science because it is both within Cascais' budget and useful for the coastline that they're working with and the environment around it. As well, it's helpful to use patterns in our program so that we can see not only the AIS information, but also the citizen science information and put them together. In case there's missing data, which we know could happen a lot with AIS, we can use the citizen science information to put it together and fill those holes. AIS, or automated identification systems or information systems, are used on most boats already and required in most ports already as well. They are a tracking device that shows the satellite of where the boat is, which is good for safety or good for seeing where other boats are in case it's dark. It's also good for tracking where boats are in case they're in illegal areas or involved in illegal activity. As well, it's also a low-cost option. And citizen science is another great way to involve the community, engage the community, and see where activities are happening. With our system, you could either report on a smartphone, or use a telephone in case someone doesn't have a smartphone or just wants to call in simply. It's an anonymous service, and all you have to do is call the number, the hotline, or put it onto the application. What information,
Sorry, could you just hold your microphone a bit nearer to your mouth?
Yeah, excuse me. You can just put the information into the app or call in what you might be seeing, whether it be illegal activity or something you might find suspicious, and tell us your coordinates or where you are, and we will map the rest.
All right, so I'm going to walk you through the prototype of our project. So this is C-Track, and this is the AI system that we would hand off to a municipality like Cascais. So on the left-hand side, we can see the functionality that the user has access to in terms of looking at our different layers of spatial information and looking at different categories of vessels operating in their municipality. Then on the right-hand side, we have the interactive map, which shows the different layers of spatial information we're bringing together in our pattern detection model. So the first layer that I'll talk about, oh, sorry, I didn't mention. So the first layer is here on the screen right now, which is these blue designated areas representing the existing marine protected areas in the Cascais municipality. The second layer of information we have is the location of known shipwrecks in Cascais, because illegal diving on shipwrecks is a big concern for them. Then we have the vessel tracks. So vessel tracks might look something like this. This is what's coming from AIS data. And using vessel tracks and the information we have from the municipality about different coastal uses, we can identify patterns in the way boats are moving throughout the system. And even if they cut their signal when they're entering the MPA, that's still a pattern that our model will be able to detect and pick up as a likely illegal activity event. The last piece of information is the hotline. So this is the citizen science program we discussed, where we have people calling in and giving, reporting events of illegal activity, which are shown here with a date and a time and that location where we think the illegal activity might have been occurring. So all of these layers come together through our spatial model and give us a heat map, which portrays the probability of illegal activity occurring in different areas of the Cascais municipality. So this is what really addresses the problem that Cascais is facing in terms of having limited enforcement capacity to manage this large area with lots of diverse uses. So this is how we're helping Cascais achieve their four problems or four goals that they came to us with. So they're interested in MPA monitoring and design of perhaps future MPAs. So we're achieving that. We're also protecting treasure hunting and protecting those shipwrecks, making sure there's less illegal activity going on. And then also mitigating potential user conflict between things like sailboats and divers. And this can also be pitched as an emergency response strategy for Cascais, ensuring higher levels of safety for boaters in the area. So this provides lots of benefits for Cascais, but could provide lots of benefits for any municipality in the world by safeguarding natural resources in terms of enhancing the value of MPAs, building community environmental stewardship in a place like Cascais where you have many users that want to participate in the monitoring of their own resources, as well as informing enforcement and management, again, especially for those communities like most, which are strapped for capacity and resources when it comes to enforcing and managing their marine ecosystems. So we propose a development and pilot program with the Cascais municipality. We think we could do this over 3 years with an approximate development cost of $500,000. While that's a big investment, what we would like to do after developing this model with Cascais is scale globally. So we would customize the model to the needs of the municipality, to the different coastal uses through a contract. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much indeed, Sausalito. Do we have any questions from the floor or online, please? I believe we have a question, the gentleman here.
Thank you for the presentation. I understand the intention is to expand what you developed for Qashqai in other places. But then what about citizen science? Do you think it can work the same with different culture in different places? Especially regarding the anonymous report. Do you think it can work in any countries, for example?
Hi, thank you for your question. So I think a big incentive for the citizen science program is the fact that we include a community into collecting data and protecting their resources. Fisheries will want to protect their fishing areas from international vessels coming into the EEZ. They don't want to compete with illegal tourist sport fishing. And of course, this program will build on itself in the way that we encourage citizens to invest in their own environment, invest in their beaches, in their MPA, the natural resources that they have, and contribute to protecting it.
Thank you.
Okay, any more questions for the team, please, either online? Yes, we have an online question, I think.
Yes, thank you. Hello, everyone. My question is about your model. I'm not quite sure that I really understand well how you manage to detect both, actually, because usually they turn off their signals. So how did you estimate the probability for a boat to be in such a place?
All right, thank you for your question. Absolutely. So the first part of our model or data collection is using the AIS system, but that is specific to Cascais because we don't have the data available yet. But the model can implement other sources of data, such as radar data, satellite imagery, all that stuff. And the foundation for the model is using a data pattern recognition algorithm, and using that to detect patterns in vessel movements, in the types of vessels that are doing any activities offshore, and tracking that, and building that into a prediction of where vessels are conducting illegal activity.
So you use your model to and the pattern can specify if the vessel is illegal or not.
Not quite. The AIS model and the boat registration will tell us what type of vessels they are, whether they're for a tourist agency or if they are a registered commercial fisherman. But the type of activity we want to track is whether they try to turn off their AIS model, AIS signals in one specific location. And that would tell us that this area might be where they don't want us to know that they're doing what they're doing right there.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you very much indeed, Sausalito. Thank you. Okay, well, that's all our teams done now. So we come to the very important stage of marking and scoring the teams to find our winner and our two runners-up. First of all, I'd like to say thank you very much to all the teams. We had well over 100 people watching online, so that in itself is a major success. So just a very quick word on methodology, okay? In terms of the scoring, we have ambassadors and advisors. As you can see on the chart on the big screen, Each of the ambassadors will score first, second, and third. The team that they score first will get 5 points. The team they score second will get 3 points. And the team that they score third will get 1 point. For the advisors, it's the same system, except the team they score first will have 3. The team they score second will have 2. And the team they score third will have 1 point. I would also just say, very important, our advisors cannot vote for their own city, okay? Cannot vote for their own city. So while the jury is voting and we have lots of number crunching up in the box, I will now invite to the floor Mr. Linwood Pendleton, who is an environmental economist and executive director of the Ocean Knowledge Action Network. Thank you very much indeed, sir. Welcome.
Thank you. First of all, while I find my presentation here, can you raise your hand if this is your first visit to Brest? Wow. Well, I hope it's not your last visit to Brest, and I just want to tell you Degamermat, which is welcome in Breton. Everything that Monsieur Goutre said about Brest this morning was true. And in fact, I hold one of those 42,000 marine jobs that we have here in Brest. There are 3 things about Brest and Brittany that he didn't mention that I think are important. The first is that while you're here, you really should try to get to know some Breton people because the sea is in their blood here. And you feel it, it's in all of the culture. And if you love the sea, I think you'll love the Breton people. The second thing is we have here in Brittany something called the Sentier Côtier, which is the customs trail, which means that everyone who visits Brittany has access to every centimeter of coastline. And it's really, it's an incredible gift to the world, and you should try to enjoy it while you're here. The third thing is that we are home to the Iroise Sea Marine Park, which is a jewel, and it's one of the world's first marine parks and one of the first 8 parks to receive a green status. And I know it's a little cold, it seems a little cold, but it's sunny now and there's not much wind. And when it's sunny and there's not much wind in Finistère, which is this region of Brittany, you should go and get into the sea. It's not that cold, it's only 12 C, you don't have to stay long, but it's so clear right now and it's so beautiful. And I'm pretty sure that that fictional mock-up that the Brest team had looked to me a lot like Boulogne-sur-mer and the Kermavan Peninsula, which is right on the Iroise Sea. And so, please, just give it a try. It's really an amazing experience. I came to Brest about 9 years ago for a 1-month visiting appointment, which then became a 3-month appointment, which then became 9 years, and now I'm French and don't ever plan to leave. And so if you do come, just be careful, because you might find that you're going to stay here for a very long time, especially if you have Queen-Yaman, right? And I know a bunch of you had Queen-Yaman, but that will keep you here. Now, Juliet asked me if I would try to spend the first part of my talk summarizing all of the pitches. And I'm not even sure if I remember all of the pitches because they all went so fast. But I do remember this, that it's incredible to see how international this Ocean Hackathon has become. And I think next year we're going to see a huge increase in this internationalist because I've already had countries come to me and said, how can we host this? Okay, so you're part of this wave. And of course, you're welcome to come back again next year with new pitches. One of the things that we see with all of this internationalist is how many different problems you're trying to solve in the ocean. We started inland talking about water and really making sure that we have good, clean tap water, because we know that plastic is a really big problem and we use plastic bottles, and if we're not going to use plastic bottles, we need to be able to drink the tap water. So it really is, it's sort of more important than just protecting your water, it's a way for us to protect all of our water. We then kind of moved closer to the sea We talked about mangroves, we talked about coastal areas, we talked about fish and jellyfish, pollution. It was so interesting to see how in one place, in Noumea, the concern was ships as potential pollution bombs. But in Mexico, it was ships from a previous period that were culture and something worth protecting. So really, the same kind of source of marine activity, but with very different implications for everyone. I was surprised, and then can we go from here to my presentation? I was surprised by how different the teams were in terms of their composition. And that is, we had teams like from Malaysia that had undergraduates. We had teams from France that included teachers and students in aquaculture. The Brest team included public servants. We had engineers, architects, coders, people of really different ages, all tackling these kinds of problems in the same format, which is this 48-hour format, but coming up with really different approaches. And so I think that was also something really interesting. It was interesting to see how many sort of subtle links there were. So I don't know if the San Francisco team realizes it, but that white four-masted fishing boat that you had in the video that was trailing at the end, that boat comes to Brest every 4 years for the Brest Boat Show, and I've slept on that boat, okay? And in fact, I've been to every single place that you have a team from here, except for Klaipeda, and I'm just waiting for an invitation, because I want to taste that water, right? Oh, yeah. Good. But despite all the differences, there were still a lot of similarities. And I don't know if you picked up on some of these similarities, but can anyone from the audience tell me what they saw as being something that really they really tied a lot of these different projects together? Passion? Oh, okay, passion, yep. Gamification appeared a lot, and for different reasons. And it was mentioned that the serious games started in America, but it really has grown up in France. And you see it's used all the time in France, and it's something I think that we really need to take more seriously, and so really getting that out is important. Anything else? Especially if you're a student here or online? And especially mapping. Mapping, this is something that 20 years ago they said, oh, you need to learn this because it's going to be everywhere. And it is everywhere, and it's just more and more. But now what we saw today is it's not just simple two-dimensional mapping, it's three-dimensional mapping, and it's interactive mapping that's hybrid, digital, and real-time. So that was really interesting to see. Anything else that you saw? Yeah, and so including community is one of these places where we saw different levels of interaction, but certainly citizen science appeared at least 3 times, maybe 4 times. And if you were active in citizen science about 10 years ago, people dismissed it. They didn't think of it as something real. They thought it was something to get people involved with, but they didn't produce real data. We don't think that anymore, because you have access to the same kind of data collecting technology as scientists. And in fact, your cell phone is often better than what we used to observe wildlife 10 years ago, right? Because you can take a picture, it's geolocated, it can be read by artificial intelligence, and it's really valuable. So seeing citizen science appear over and over again, I think, was really important. Anything else that you saw? A lot of these apps were about warnings, real time, creating real-time information. Many were also about predictions and real-time predictions. So I know because I was on the jury in Malaysia that their maps also include real-time spatial predictions about where the jellyfish are. So it's not just the month, but you can figure out which part of the island you should go to because of that. And we've seen that. We see this with fish. We see this with ships. So this real-time ability to predict is increasingly important. Now, the process, the one thing that you all have in common is you went through this 48-hour grueling process, which I find really intimidating. And I wasn't allowed to be there in Malaysia because I was in the jury, but I kind of passed by a couple of times and wow, it looked really stressful to me. And I just wonder if you, the participants, felt it was equally intimidating. Did you? No? No problem? You do this kind of stuff all the time? Because, you know, I'm a researcher. I need 48 months to really do something. You were doing things in 48 hours, right? So did you go into any of this with a concern or a fear or challenge that you thought you were going to face?
I mean, if I were to do it alone, I don't think I can do it in 40 hours. I just don't have the energy to continue. But with a team, they just kind of, you know, encourage each other. And we're looking, helping each other, we can continue through the 40 hours.
And how many of your team members did you know before you arrived?
Actually,
Two out of how many?
8.
8, right? So were you worried that maybe you wouldn't get along with your team?
I guess
no?
we're all very friendly.
Okay. Did anybody else have any sort of concerns going into this? Sim and I, we talked earlier, and tell me one of...
Yeah, just worried that we create something that people do not use at all.
Yeah, you know, when I worked in the tech industry for a few years, and when I talked to our developers, that was their biggest fear, which is, what if we spend, in this case, they were spending like $2 million, $5 million, and nobody uses what we created? And I want to come back to this, but that really should be everybody's sort of biggest concern when you go into a 48-hour challenge like this. These two things you see here are for sale. People created these. And so there are many, many examples of tools, platforms, things like that that people just don't use. And it's because they didn't include the end user early on. And that's very difficult to do in 48 hours. But some of you were actually the end users of the products that you were creating. So the jellyfish app, you guys swim in the sea in Malaysia, you're going to use that. The aquaculture game app, you're going to use that at school. And so many of you, the divers from Toulon, you are also end users. But really trying to make sure that everything we do going forward, because we have this climate crisis, we have a biodiversity crisis, we have an ocean crisis, we need to make sure that we're not wasting our time and that the things that we do are useful. When the Ocean Hackathon began, as Monsieur Goutret talked about, there was all this data, and the question was, can we make it useful? Maybe we should bring people here to see if they could use the data. And that's the way we used to do science. We called it science to policy, science to action. Scientists will just do their science, the people there will collect their data, and then we'll help you figure out how to use it. Well, that has led to a lot of data that never gets used. Most scientific papers are only cited one more time ever, only used one more time ever by other people. And so in order to counteract this problem of the science not being useful, it has occurred to people now that the way to make science useful is to work with end users and other people from the beginning to try to define the scientific question. Where are we going to collect marine life data? There's a lot of marine life data that has never been collected. We don't know about what is in the ocean and most of the ocean. But we can't collect it all at once. Where should we go? Well, let's bring people in who are making decisions about the ocean. So this has led the United Nations Decade of Ocean Science for Sustainability, Sustainable Development to talk about and require that every project that is endorsed by the UN for this decade of ocean science is co-designed with stakeholders. So you'll see this as the co-design of science. Sometimes it's the co-design, co-production, and co-delivery of science. Sometimes it's open science. But what it really means is bringing everyone together, not just stakeholders, not just different kinds of scientists and economists, funders, lawyers, psychologists, a lot of getting people to use your science and your apps as psychology, and trying to have them work in groups just like you did. But that is a lot of different kind of people, even if they're all from the same place speaking the same language. When they say words, it means different things to people. When they think about the world, they think about the world very differently. So dealing with this diversity can be a big challenge. And now some of you, one of the things you may have noticed is looking across all these teams today, is that diverse teams do well in this Ocean Hackathon. Now, I didn't have data about all the teams, but I did have data about what happened in Malaysia, and the more diverse the teams were, the better it seemed that they were able to produce, because they had end users, they had people who could do the coding, people who could do the designing, people who could do the management. But working in such a diverse context is difficult. And in some cases, you had issues of being from different universities, different disciplines, different religions, different languages even in your group. And that's difficult, but the real world is even more difficult. And so if you've worked on a marine park council or anything like that, you know how difficult all of this can be. And the number of dimensions around which people differ grows as fast as their passion for solving problems together. A lot of people don't know how to work with this many kinds of diversity, especially scientists, because scientists aren't trained to work with people that have so many different worldviews, so many different ways of speaking. So we created a knowledge action network called the Ocean Knowledge Action Network. And I'm just gonna tell you a little bit about that. But this Ocean Knowledge Action Network was created to help bring people together who were trying to co-design their science and technology so they could share experiences with each other about how to do this and what works and what doesn't work. But we have to co-design the network ourselves. So it's a knowledge action network, and a lot of the scientists want us to get straight to the action, right? But we have to build the network together, so we've spent a lot of time, we're just 1 year old now, building the network. And I'll talk about that because the way we're building the network is a lot like how you're going to have to continue to build your teams. Because I think you have successful teams, you need to keep these teams going because you've got some magic there. But only after we figure out how to do our network can we begin to share knowledge, and only after we have that knowledge sharing can we really put it to action. So for us, when we talk about networks, a lot of these scientific networks, they're just about having as many people on the mailing list as possible and then having conferences. And we wanted to try to create a new kind of network, one where people felt like participating in that network, they could trust the network to be honest with each other. Doesn't mean everyone has to like each other, but at least honest. And that the results of the network for the rest of the world would also be trusted. But self-organizing is important, and I'll come back to this because the strength of a network lies in the ability of each of you to talk to each other. And it's very hard to build a network like that. We wanted to build a bottom-up network, and we wanted to really focus on one that was cross-disciplinary, cross-linguistic, cross-language, multilingual, inclusive, sort of big tent. And how are we going to do that? Then we wanted to focus on sharing knowledge, and you know, the way scientists share knowledge is we write papers and we publish papers, and sometimes we put them on the website. But it might take 3 to 5 years for the knowledge I've learned to get up on the website, and by then it's too late. You really haven't gained from that. So how do we start sharing knowledge in real time with each other, person to person, because there's a lot more information in your head than you'll ever write down. And so we really need to try to figure out how do we tap that knowledge in people's heads. And that means start by sharing with knowledge people already have, and once they've shared that, then we can move on to sharing knowledge about co-design. So we've spent a lot of time teaching our networks how to be better networks by connecting them and learning how to become better networks. And then once you get used and comfortable to sharing knowledge, you can move on to sharing knowledge about science and co-design. The action part for us is really focusing on some of these key dimensions of the United Nations decade, really trying to make sure that the marine life science we collect is informative and actionable. Blue economy, everything you talked about today really was about the blue economy. Fisheries, observations, and so you can see it's very much in line with the things that you've talked about today. We're very interested in how to avoid having a network that's based in the global north, telling people in the global south what to do. So how do we incorporate these new anti-colonial behaviors in the way we build our network? And then how do we recognize that it's not us in France sharing capacity with the rest of the world, but it's us sharing capacity with each other, because indigenous knowledge can inform what we do here. Ways of working that are happening in Malaysia can really inform ways of working in Europe, and et cetera. Now, this is the important point about the hub and spoke model. Most networks have one person in the middle connecting everyone else. And those are very fragile networks, because if that one person gets sick or takes another job, what happens to the network? And imagine with your teams, what would have happened if your team leader got sick during those 48 hours? It could have been catastrophic. So really trying to create new ways of self-organizing is important. And so we spend a lot of time working on that, which means constantly going out to the members of our network and saying, you lead. Don't expect us to lead, you lead. And what we'll hear is members, say, from small island states will say, oh, I've never led a big working group like that. It's like, well, this could be the first one. Really trying to empower, encourage, and we'll help you. To do this, we started off by working on the ground with partner organizations around the world. And you can see by looking at this map how many languages we have, how many countries we have. We have people that are at universities, people that are at private sector places, people that are at foundations, just a whole variety of people in different places. And we thought if we can get this group working together cross-culturally, across languages, interdisciplinarily, then we can expand up. We connect these groups with Future Earth. And if you don't know about Future Earth is a global network that was created to promote and really design sustainability science. How do we get scientists more involved in creating the kinds of tools that you've tried to create today? Future Earth has its own knowledge action networks for many different things. The Ocean Knowledge Action Network is just one. And then it has these high-level science networks. So we're bringing our on-the-ground partners into this network of networks and connecting them for the first time. But then we have all sorts of other kinds of partners. We have international science networks. We have social science and transdisciplinary networks. We're working with 5 different programs at the UN Decade of Ocean Science. Some of these are about how do we behave differently as scientists. So empowering women, which I hope will become gender equality in ocean science. SmartNet, which is really focused on sharing information about fishing. And then Early Career Ocean Professionals, it's one of the most active decade programs. This is where all the new ideas are. And it's early career professionals, like many of you who presented today, who already know how to work interdisciplinarily and across disciplines. And then we've combined this with different kinds of decade programs like the Marine Life 2030, which really focuses on actionable decade-level marine life data, global ecosystem for ocean solutions. So we've heard about one, Ocean Hub Africa. I know Ocean Hub Africa well because of our participation in this global ecosystem of ocean solutions. And then we have private sector collaborators who are helping us do things like create a platform. It's a platform called Actor where we can communicate together, because some of you want to communicate on WhatsApp, and some of you want to communicate on Basecamp and Slack, and some just want to use emails. So we've been working with Actor to try to create a place where all of those technologies come together, so it's easier for us to talk to each other. So as we work through our first year, instead of rushing to action and focusing on trying to create conferences and things like that, we've really spent a lot of time on bringing people together who've never known each other And we do this over and over again. And people have so many things in common, and they didn't realize it. Because if you're sitting in Brazil, it's very hard to meet someone in the Seychelles, especially with the pandemic, especially with the cost of air travel. We spend a lot of time going around asking people, where do you need help from your network, and letting the network respond. Instead of telling the network what they need to do, the network tells us what we need to do as a network. These one-to-one interactions are part of every meeting that we have. We meet monthly. And we got together because we thought we had a common purpose, but now that we have people that are participating in this network, we have to reevaluate that common purpose and say, look, we have to recognize that we're a group that's different than we imagined we would be. What is our common purpose? And what are our shared values? How do we want to treat each other so we make sure that this network stays together? So we've done this. We participate in a lot of this. We are fortunate that we'll be meeting in person for the first time in Taiwan to really work through some of these difficult things, like identifying our shared values and purpose. But doing this by focusing this first year not on topics, not on themes, but just on people, it's amazing how many things have come out of this network spontaneously that we didn't imagine. So much knowledge exchange back and forth between people. People have contacted each other to start working on research proposals. They've created charters for gender equality that they're now taking back to their networks and using as the charter for their own network, even though they learned about it through the Ocean Knowledge Action Network. The International Panel on Ocean Sustainability has been proposed, and the Ocean CAN members have been a big part of this. This is the IPCC for the ocean that recognizes when you talk about the ocean, you can't have one panel for ocean, one panel for climate, one panel for biodiversity. It's got to all be together. And student mentoring has been a big part of this. So with all that said, I want to invite all of you as members of these 12 finalists, and you're all winners, to come join this Ocean CAN. And we've set up a site for you. I mentioned Actor, our platform. This QR code will take you to that site where you can get logged in, and you can keep this conversation going, because I hope you've been meeting each other and talking to each other. But you can see that a lot of you are doing work that if you were combined, you'd be even better. Bringing citizen science together with mapping, okay? And so please check out this QR code. If you can't find it, you can email me or email us through the Ocean Hackathon, and we will help you continue to be a bigger network of networks so this Ocean CAN has a life beyond today. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much indeed. Okay, so now I will pass the floor to Jessica Newfield from the Sustainable Ocean Alliance. Thank you very much. Welcome.
Wasn't expecting my face to be there. That's nice. Hello, ocean innovators. You must be pretty exhausted after the last few hours, last few days, last few weeks. So I will only take a few minutes to tell you about an exciting opportunity. But first off, I want to just say congratulations on making it here today at the grand finale. Even if you... Oh yeah, thank you. Regardless if you get prizes today, you are all making waves, and you are also growing this ecosystem of ocean innovation, which is so important. And as we just heard, the more we work together and the more we collaborate, the more solutions and action we can take on these really important issues. So thank you for being here today. And I also want to say that this is just the start of your journey. I'm here on behalf of the Sustainable Ocean Alliance to share about the Ocean Pitch Challenge, which is coming up this spring. And, okay, you can just listen to me. You don't need to see any more slides. And so the Ocean Pitch Challenge is co-organized with this Respect Ocean. And It is also with a lot of different partners that we're organizing it, including our host today, the Campus Mondial de la Mer. And we are still accepting applications. So until February 28th, you can submit your application. So really, I urge all of you here to submit I'm gonna pause for 1 minute. Okay, can you go back? Okay, great. Yay, okay, partners, Ocean Pitch Challenge, great. So the Ocean Pitch Challenge aims to support and grow the sustainable blue economy. It's open to all ocean solutionists around the world. So even though we have a lot of French partners, it's global, so please apply. And essentially, we will have a committee of experts who will evaluate the projects, and then the 10 finalists will get to have pitching, coaching, and then we will reward 3 final projects with financial prizes and other prizes. So these are some of the key dates. So it already opened January 19th, and I think we've received almost 100 applications already. And it will be closing February 28th. The finalists will be chosen on April 6th, and the coaching will happen for 6 weeks between early April to late May. And we are also looking for 10 mentors to be part of our pitch coaching program. So if you would like to mentor another project, that's also possible. And yes, I want to encourage you all to apply and to take your solution to the next level. Here are some of the contact details and our social links. Please come find me after this if you want to talk more about the Ocean Pitch Challenge or if you want to hear about Sustainable Ocean Alliance. And yeah, again, congrats. And now it's time to celebrate. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Jessica. So, this brings us to the most important part of the day, the results. Yay! So just as a recap about today's prizes, for the team in third place, there is a prize of €2,000 to be dedicated to IT equipment and other maritime activities. For the second team, €3,500. And for the winning team, €5,000. Okay, €5,000. Just before I announce the winners, I've been asked to say, if you would like to tour Oceanopolis tomorrow, a bus will leave Place de la Liberté at 20 to 10, 0940. Okay, that isn't the prize, but you're all welcome to go. Okay, so if you'd like to visit Oceanopolis tomorrow, there is a bus from Liberty Place, Place de la Liberté at 9:40. Okay, so it now gives us great pleasure to announce the results. So for third place, I would like to ask Tristan, Christophe, and Gina to come down and take the floor, please, to award the prize for third place. And you can probably see the enormous... Very great, congratulations, and don't spend it all at once. Okay, well, congratulations, Cape Town. Thank you. Okay. Okay, in second place, I would like to ask Pierre from Ivory and Stéphane from Cèdre to take to the floor, please, to award our prize for second place. Thank you very much. And not to keep you in suspense any longer, the prize for second place goes to Toulon. Congratulations to all of you. Well done. Okay, now last but not least, for first place, I would like to ask Julia from Cerema and Laurent from Chaume to come to the floor to hand out this enormous check. Thank you. Okay, so it gives me the greatest pleasure in telling you all that the winner of the Hackathon 2023 is Kuala Lumpur. And your mascot. Bring your mascot. Can't forget the mascot. The three winners. Okay, congratulations once again to Kuala Lumpur. I'm not sure that check will even fit on the plane, but well done. Okay. What we'd like now is for the three teams, the three winning teams, to all come down so that you could have your photograph taken. So we already have Kuala Lumpur, so could we also have our other two teams, please? So Cape Town and Toulon, come and have your picture taken. And don't forget your mascot if you've got one. You just won. You've won. Say cheese, everyone. Once again, congratulations from us all. I think a few people are still taking photographs of you. But I think now we're going to move out into Les Capucins. You may have noticed there's a big white emperor's barge at the other end of the building. We're going to move out there now for a group photograph, so everybody is welcome. Okay? So that's all of us. And mascots, obviously. Juliet will lead the way. Well,